prototype quarterback. Those who possess the skills are the rarest of commodities. This year, all eyes have focused on Drew Bledsoe.
The typical #1 draft choice in pro football.
The raw physical tools, the competitiveness, the ability to bring his team back are all there right now.
He can force defenses into problem situations that most people can't, just with the strength of his arm.
Well, right now, he's clearly the #1 quarterback available.
Welcome, everybody, to the Weiserlock Copper Bowl in beautiful Tucson, Arizona. The Utes from the WAC, 6-5, taking on Washington State, 8-3 on the year. The Cougars ranked number 18 in the nation. Hi, everybody. I'm Ron Franklin, and welcome to this, the kickoff of Bowl Week here on ESPN. Tonight begins 6 games in 5 days on ESPN. Well, tonight, Utah against Washington State. And when you look at the Utes, you said it has been a while since they've been bowling. In fact, the last time they went to a bowl game, Ed Sullivan was playing host to the Beatles on his Sunday night television show. And as far as Washington State is concerned, they came down the stretch extremely strong, winning over arch rival Washington handily in the last game of the year. And they've been riding the strong arm of a quarterback by the name of Drew Bledsoe. Many people say if he goes early in the draft, he could, in fact, be the #1 pick.
6'5", 227 pounds. The junior from Walla Walla has great potential because of his size and presence. Not only strong arm to put zip on the quick outs, he's blessed with the accuracy and touch to pick opponents apart downfield as well. The ground attack is led by 6', 219-pound senior, whose first name, Chambé, is an African word meaning strength of a lion. That's exactly what he has done, leading the Pac-10 in rushing this year. This is the 100th year for Utah football. And tonight, this bowl appearance, the Utes' third. It's been a while. In fact, the last time Utah was involved in postseason play, LBJ was in the White House. That was 1964. This team sees tonight a chance for Utah to establish bowling as an expectation and not a surprise.
We're very proud of this, occasion. We worked hard for it. And it is nice to be the team that, to put Utah back on the map. And it's nice to, be in a bowl game after 28 years. Maybe this was just a year for it to happen.
Cap off everyone's frustrations that every team at Utah's had for the longest time. And it's just, for me, it would just be one of the greatest things I could ever, be a part of, because it only come around so many times in your life.
As usual, Mike Gottfried joins me on the telecast tonight. Now, Bledsoe gets a lot of focus as far as this week is concerned, but you've been impressed in watching a young man by the name of Dulce, who plays quarterback for Utah this week.
Ron, I really have. Frank Dulce, the quarterback for Utah, if they can protect him tonight, has a chance to upstage Drew Bledsoe in this ball game. You're going to like him, folks. He has a quick release, and he throws the ball downfield, and I'll tell you what, he's an exciting quarterback, Ron.
Well, for Bledsoe, he is a junior, and the question remains, will he come out early as far as the draft? Mike, I guess my question to you is he the best quarterback in the nation right now?
I think he's the best quarterback in the nation, but I wonder how he's going to handle this week. All the media attention on the draft prospects. We'll see how he handles that tonight. Also, I think a big key in this ball game, because both offenses throw the ball down the field. The last game for both teams was November 21st, so the defenses aren't used to the speed, so look for a lot of big plays early in this game.
Mike, when you talk about Washington State, they have quite a legacy as far as quarterbacks. Adrian Karsten is down on the sideline as usual with us, and he's with the man who really started this entire movement, the man that they called the throwing Samoan, Adrian.
Well, Ron, the man still ranks as the Cougars' all-time passing leader, Jack Thompson. Jack, #3 pick in the '79 draft, is a former first-rounder. What makes Drew so attractive to the pros?
Adrian, outside the fact he's 6'5", he weighs 239 and runs a 4.7, strong as an ox, has a gun for an arm. I don't know what more you need in a pro quarterback.
All right, if he comes out for the draft, as Ron mentioned, he's got to forego his senior year. Answer the question he's asking himself: should I stay or should I go?
Tough question, made harder with the fact that this, pending new collective bargaining agreement 4 weeks ago, it might have been a moot point, but right now it's a tough question.
Jack, thanks very much. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. We remember Jack Thompson, Rippon, Rosenbaugh, Ron. For Drew Bledsoe, that legacy is on the line tonight.
You bet it is. Some heavy competition there. Let's take a timeout. We'll come back with the opening kickoff of this year's Weiserlock Copper Bowl.
apologize. Sometimes in the rush of business, we forget to say thank you. So to our many clients and friends, thanks. Your business is sincerely appreciated. Spencer Kinney, Richland and Kennewick. The members of this real estate company are involved in a wide range of community activities. After all, it's important to us that ours is a good place to live. Spencer Kinney Real Estate, the proven performers.
We couldn't make the day any longer or the distance between people any shorter. But at Cellular One, we can give you the freedom to go where you want to go and never be out of touch with the people who are most important to you. That's why Cellular One is building a new cellular network across North America. To reserve your number, call our number, 1-800-IMAGINE.
Weiser-Lock Copper Bowl, presented by Duracell, is brought to you by Weiser-Lock, America's home security system since 1904. The Weiser-Lock Copper Bowl in Tucson, Arizona. This is Arizona Stadium. This, of course, where the University of Arizona plays their games. And tonight, some different colors in here, although Washington State is accustomed to these surroundings, playing here every other year in Pac-10 competition. Will kick it off for the Utes. Number 80. As you look at Pointer, along with Hunter, the dual safety for the Cougars of Washington State. And this one is underway. On the ground at the 11-yard line is Hunter. And he will take it out across the 26 to the 27-yard line. So let's meet the starters on offense tonight for Washington State. Drew Bledsoe, we've talked a lot about him. Now you judge for yourself. A very big one, and he is very, very talented. One of the guys that he likes especially, the big gamer, C.J. Davis, number 1 out of Tacoma, 55 catches this year. And up front, it is a veteran offensive front. They're very large. They're also very smart. They play well together. Garmin is the senior leadership up there, 6'4", 292, out of Bremerton, Washington, which, of course, is a suburb of Seattle. Long count. They fake the straight handoff. They go with the reverse. It's Bobo. And on the reverse, will take it across the 34 to the 35-yard line. And let's meet the starters on defense for Utah. Very good group up front, particularly Luther Ellis. The coaches say he is the best defensive player on the field. Keep an eye on 83 tonight. The linebacking area, this has been a problem somewhat because of injuries and just natural attrition for the Utes. Reggie Alston, for instance, played free safety earlier this year. And in the secondary, the best cover man, Kareem Leary. He's number 40 out of Sacramento. First pass of the night. Shambe Wright, fair. Has the first down, breaks it into open field at the 45-yard line. Will have the first down in very good field position right off the bat for Washington State.
Ron, defenses will be at a disadvantage in the bowl games in the first couple series. And the reason that is because the last game was November 21st. Utah was BYU and Washington State was Washington. It will take the defense a series or so to get used to the speed of the other team's offense. Because remember, you practiced against your scout team players, and all of a sudden now you're up against more speed. So it'll take them a couple series to get used to it.
Mike numbered 90 for Utah, Mike Lewis, who normally is at the defensive end spot, is playing as a starter at left tackle tonight, has injured either his left leg or his lower back. Now the trainers came out and he said he wanted to come off on his own, but you can see he is limping noticeably. We'll get a report on it. Lobendon, number 99, will come in replacing him. Vince is a junior out of Carson, California. 1st and 10, Washington State. Initial first down of the night. Again, Washington State with a very long count. No back set, pass complete. That's right fair, and they will be close to another first down
Drew Bledsoe, the Washington State quarterback. You can see what Mike Price, the head coach of Washington State, is trying to do. He wants to open this game up on offense to let his quarterback get a feel, little short passes. He threw the screen, then the little quick hitch play, a reverse on the first play, just to get him settled in and then let him uncork some long throws.
Fourth year at Washington State for Coach Price. Second down and short, really one to play with here. But they're going to go with the sure thing, and that's right fair. He'll have the first as he bounces his way down to the 41-yard line. Ellis is the man who took his feet out from under him. Luther, the sophomore, 6'5", 256.
Ron, when you talk about Drew Bledsoe, of course, all the talk this week is the draft, and how he handles that media attention will be important. It looks like he's very settled down and into the ball game as we started, but if he remains, he has a chance to become the Pac-10 passing leader, the Heisman Trophy candidate. Of course, if he goes, everybody talks about he could be a first-rounder.
They fake the counter. Trey sets to throw, and he's got a man wide open. Bobo at the 10, at the 5. First and goal, Washington State.
There's your big play concept. You know, you lull them to sleep with the little short passing game, but that's Mark Swanson, the free safety on Philip Bobo. Watch Drew Bledsoe with a real nice fake. Now this is the first throw down the field. And again, this is the first time Mark Swanson sees the speed of Philip Bobo, who he was on a recruiting trip with at Utah. So now they just have to get used to the speed factor.
Running play, straight ahead, right fair, touchdown Washington State. And they made it look very easy. Tobic, number 66, with a paving block on the play.
Ron, it looks like it's going to take Utah a little bit of time to get used to it. It looks like Washington State, they traded 11 game films. But it looked like Washington State went to some different formations Utah has not seen this year out of Washington State. Confused them.
Aaron Price with the extra point attempt, and he loses his footing. Well, we've had a lot of rain in the Tucson area over the last few days. First of all, let's look at the replay.
Shambe right fair, the running back in the one-back offense for Washington State, is a powerful runner. He's the pro-type player out of the one-back set. Good power, makes the first Utah player miss, and then lunges across with the football across the plane for the touchdown. Good block by Robbie Tobic, number 66, the center.
Watch the footing, Mike. I talked about they've almost had a third of the rain that they normally have in a year in just this week. And watch what happens with the plant foot. I mean, it just goes out from under him. And in fact, seeing that happen this early, if a field goal becomes important to one of the coaches, and let's say it's a distance job, it might change their thinking on whether they would attempt it or not.
See Fred Whittingham, the defensive coordinator here on the sideline for Utah, has to get his defense together and give them the looks on a chalkboard that they're going to see in this next series coming up. And now we get a chance to see Frank Dulce and the Utah offense to see what they can do.
Mike, let me ask you something. How much of a difference does it make in the fact that Utah has not been here a great deal or has not been bowling as far as any of these kids are concerned, just as far as the jitters? And because it was said jokingly at the luncheon yesterday, we had to ask some people about agenda because we didn't know what to do as far as setting up regiment for coming to a bowl game.
Ron, it's an important point because a lot of times you set a goal to get to a bowl game. After you get to a bowl game, sometimes then you set the goal, of course, to win and to go further. But I think you'll see Utah respond. I don't think they're going to lay down. I think they're a team that has a lot of fight in them.
Price with the kickoff. Williams and Pierre Jones back deep. And this is going to come short at the 18-yard line. And a return to the 24. So let's meet the starters on offense for Utah. Frank Dulce, the senior from Culver City, California. The coaches really like him. He's going to be a doctor, or wants to be after he gets out of undergraduate school. His favorite receiver, number 3, Sean Williams, probably the best of the group, and they have a very talented lot of receivers. You'll see a lot of number 2 and also number 9. And up front, Mike DeHoog, senior from Chino, California. And DeHoog at left tackle is the leader. They say the best of the offensive line. Anderson, big fullback at 6'1", 235, tries to take it off the right side. He'll have maybe one. And let's meet the starters on defense for Washington State. Up front, very active group led by Lewis Bush, I should say, out of Tacoma, Washington, number 48. He was a linebacker just last year, and they moved him to that spot. One of the reasons, this probably the strength on defense. Anthony McClanahan in the middle is the leader of the group, and Torrey Hunter in the secondary is their best cover guy, number 24. Swings it out. Williams will be hit and knocked down for a loss at the 25-yard line, and it's Lurcher, number 19.
Kurt Lurcher, the linebacker, makes the play on the tailback flare pass. Frank Dulce, I've been impressed with him all week, Ron. He went to El Camino Junior College, played for John Featherstone out there. He's very well coached. Dan Henson, the quarterback coach, I tell you, this kid is something to watch.
Line to make is the 35 to keep this drive alive for Utah. Tries to put up a little touch job in the middle, and it is intercepted by Washington State. Geathers will make the pickoff. And Mike, it was hard to tell if it was Lusk he was going for or who, but there is a marker down back at the 24-yard line.
It's a break for Utah. It's offsides on Washington State. What's interesting, Ron, is when Utah went to no backs against Washington State. Now look at all the defensive players. They got 6 people. They're going to come after Frank Dulce. So he is going to be pressured in that no back set. You see, only had like a 1/10 of a second to throw the football, and he was throwing it downfield. Curtis Geathers, the nickel back, was there to intercept it. So he gets away with a mistake there.
I think it was Lusk who he was going for. Lusk can be a factor in this game, and in fact 6'2", 230, and he runs extremely well. Draw play with Williams. That's a good job defensively by Ron Childs. Already, all 3 linebackers have let you know that they're in the ball game. Lurcher made the big play, McClanahan, and now Childs comes up. And for Utah, they'll have to kick it away.
We know who has a lot of impact on the Washington State defense is Washington. They went to the quick defensive front and linebackers, so Washington State did the same thing. If you look at all their linebackers, they're quick linebackers, not great size, but they can run.
Young to kick it away to Torrey Hunter. Hunter drops off to around the 22-yard line. Good driving spiral. In fact, he's having to back up inside the 20. Fumbles the ball. Now 1 flag, 2 flags, and good coverage by Utah. 46 yards in the kick. And that was Reggie Alston who came downfield to make the stick. So Washington State not only had a big punt turned their way, now they're going to look at a major penalty to be stepped off, which will go half the distance. So Mike, they're going to start off a long way away from the end zone, which means they're going to have to be a little more conservative on this drive. But they're on top right now, 7-0. So we'll take a break. 11:04 left in the opening quarter of this Weiserlock Copper Bowl. The Weiserlock Copper Bowl, presented by Duracell, is brought to you in part by Lincoln Mercury and the complete line of Lincoln luxury automobiles. And by Budweiser, the king of beers with that fresh, pure, natural taste. Nothing beats a Bud. Beautiful shot of Arizona Stadium here in Tucson. Mike, I hate to be the bearer of bad tidings. We have had a lot of rain over the last few days, and the gentleman who is doing the PA tonight is a meteorologist, and he told me just before kickoff, 61 degrees, rain less than an hour away. They're hoping it's going to skirt the city, but it doesn't look like it. We may be in for a wet night here at the Copper Bowl.
Those guys are never right.
Movement on both sides of the football as the play is stuffed, and that's Peter Tonga, a senior from Salt Lake, who steps up to make the hit. Offside against Utah.
Ron, your point you made earlier, as you see Ron McBride, the head coach. That's Fred Whittingham with the headset on, the defensive coordinator. First time in a bowl for a long time, a little nervous. It's
most important thing right now as they settle down is not to make errors like that, but to get the ball back, get a decent field position, come back down and do what they do best.
Well, they can't let this man, number 11, get in a rhythm, because if they do, he'll run them right out of the stadium.
Bledsoe still perfect as he throws complete. That's Pointer out at the 23, and he'll be pushed out of bounds there. And Adrian Karsten, let's get a report from you.
Ron, you talk about how much rain we've had here in the past couple of days, about 1.25 inches. Annually, they get about 7 inches here. Take a look at the turf. This turf was actually taken from Tucson National Country Club. There's about 6 inches of sod here and then sand underneath it, so it drains beautifully. They get that much rain, almost a fifth of their annual average in 1 day's time, and have the field in such great condition. Really hats off to the field managers here.
Well, that's for sure, Adrian. So the two sides of that coin. A great surface, but boy, there are a lot of missed putts down there. Right fair. Breaks off the tackle. Flag comes down. Has 15, 16, and counted off at the 40-yard line. But that appears to be offensive holding against Washington State.
I think it's against Josh Dunning, number 61. It looks like the hold call will be on.
Josh is a junior out of Graham, Washington.
Coming right at you, number 61, the pulling guard, Josh Dunning, on the defensive end. It's called for the holding call.
Well, he's the strongest of the offensive linemen. And actually, they say the key to the running game, because they'd like to do with him what they did on that play right there quite a bit, and that's get him out in front. But the flag will push the play back to just inside the 13-yard line. 7-0. Washington State leads early first quarter.
A lot of play calling at the line of scrimmage for the veteran junior quarterback.
Blitz up the middle. You can see it. They pick it up well. Goes up the far sideline, and Bobo is open. Price to attempt the extra point. Knocks it home, and with 10:32 showing on the clock, Mike, 14-0 Cougars.
Great throw by Drew Bledsoe, but watch the fullback here, Shambe right fair with the block on the left side that really gives time against the blitz for Drew Bledsoe to find Philip Bobo in man coverage against Sharif Shah. Now, Ron, the first series they played a lot of zone and tried to cover on Drew Bledsoe. The second series they tried to come after him and pressure him, and Drew Bledsoe picks up, his offensive line picks up the blocks, and then a good touch throw by Drew Bledsoe that puts Philip Bobo in the clear, and they're not going to catch number 2.
Bobo now has 2 catches for 126 yards and the touchdown that he just scored. And look at the reaction by Drew Bledsoe.
He was closer than anybody from Utah at the end to try to catch him. They made it look easy, Ron, in 2 offensive series. They're really putting a lot of pressure on Fred Whittingham, the defensive coordinator of Utah. See Sharif Shaw, number 33, the defensive back, who was beat on man coverage against Philip Bobo.
Well, you're right about Bledsoe putting that thing just exactly where it had to be. And Bobo did a great job of staying in bounds because it looked as though where he caught the ball, he might not be able to cut it back upfield. But he walked up the tightrope and took it in.
Ron McBride, the head coach, and just has to keep his players and keep them settled down. It's a long football game, and I'm sure he's a little bit in shock with the way Drew Bledsoe's picking his defense apart.
This one a little bit longer will come down. Sean Williams. Sean will take it back out to the 28. Well, the thrifty car rental bowl week continues tomorrow when WAC champion Hawaii meets Illinois. That's in the Holiday Bowl at 7:45 Eastern time. And then on Thursday, we've got the Independence Bowl from Shreveport, Louisiana. Oregon there to take on Wake Forest. It's a 12:30 Eastern start. 7:45. It's on to Memphis on the Mississippi. The Liberty Bowl between Air Force and Ole Miss. And then on Friday, New Year's Day, College Game Day special at 10 a.m. And we'll tell you about the rest of it here in just a moment. Short drop, pass thrown complete to Williams, and he will be stopped with a nice open field tackle at the 33. Then the Hall of Fame follows as Boston College will take on Phil Fulmer and the Tennessee Volunteers, 16 against 17, and the Peach Bowl on Saturday, January the 2nd. It is 24. Mississippi State against number 19, North Carolina. All this week right here on ESPN. We'd be heading, you're going to Shreveport after this and then on to Atlanta, and I will meet you in Atlanta for the Peach Bowl. Williams off the right side, breaks off one tackle, and there's the initial first down for the Utes.
Utah really needs a drive on offense. I mean, because the way Drew Bledsoe is just carving up their defense, Ron McBride needs his offense to keep Drew Bledsoe on the bench, on the sideline, but also to get some yardage here and keep the ball and a drive that could turn into some points for his team.
He coached in the first Copper Bowl as an assistant coach for Arizona. You see him fake the blitz up the middle. They go with a running play. Breaks it for 5 yards now. 6, Keith Williams. And a flag is down across the way at the line of scrimmage. 14-0, Washington State, if you just joined us.
Common when you've been off since November 21st. It's the second offside penalty. But Ron, both these teams have come in with a different approach. Ron McBride brought his team in here and put a curfew on him. And as a matter of fact, his team nicknamed him Mick Scrooge during the Christmas week because they were in bed early. And in the meantime, Washington State, Mike Price brought his team in, gave him a little bit of a reward, no curfew. And so I think both are right. I think the focus you need at the game time, and I think both will have that focus.
5 yards stepped off here, and Mike, it'll be a first down and 5. You know, there's no set rule, though, for any group. It depends on the group of individuals that you have and the age of your team, be it football or any other sport, isn't it?
Well, I agree with Ron McBride because his team's not been to a bowl game. And they have not, like you said, Ed Sullivan was around.
There's the pitch on the reverse. Williams. Lusk, I beg your pardon, 9 rather than 3. And Henry Lusk will take it to the 45-yard line.
That's a way of slowing down a team that runs well on defense early in the ball game. Just run a reverse and bring Henry Lusk around, and that'll slow down a little bit of the pursuit on the defense of Washington State.
You know, you saw him lose his footing there. I mentioned Lusk plays as one of the inside receivers. He's 6'2", 230. He motors pretty well for a guy that big, doesn't he?
He really does.
Pierre Jones comes in as the running back. He gets the handoff. Jones actually more yards than Keith Williams, who starts in front of him. 715 yards rushing, to be exact. Childs on the stop.
A little different plan by Rick Rasnick, the offensive coordinator, to try to keep this Washington State defense honest by running the football at him. Ron Childs, the linebacker, 6 foot, 206 pounds, made the tackle. He's moved over from running back because he was unhappy with his playing time. Said, put me over at linebacker. I'll make some tackles for you. And he's quite a linebacker for this team.
Pierre Jones gets outside on the left. He will have the first down as he is spun down at around the 35-yard line. That's John Rushing from free safety who gets there.
If you're Frank Dosey, the quarterback, you like what you're seeing right now because you know that's going to open your passing game.
Right.
Because you're going to get those players from Washington State a little bit back on their heels to play the run a little bit more and not just tee off on the passing game. He needs a running game to keep them honest on defense so he can open up this game and throw the football.
Third first down of this drive for the Utes as Williams comes back in replacing Jones. Washington State coming with the blitz on the outside. Bolte will step it up. And he will slide down wisely at the 32. That was Mobley who was coming up after him. Sophomore out of Tacoma.
Ron, about 20% of your passes in college football are ad-libs, just like that play where Frank Dosey, all of a sudden the play's off and you start to scramble. And Utah keeps a statistic on when the quarterbacks scramble. And Frank Dosey is 60% on his decisions of throwing the football when he has to scramble.
Midway of the opening quarter, just over 7 to play, 14-0. Washington State, Utah is driving. Here they come in the blitz again, and now flags down all over the place. And let's see if somebody in that offensive line was moving, preparing for the onslaught, so to speak. That was it.
Watch Frank Dosey, the quarterback here, number 12. He's looking over the defense, and he sees a blitz is coming. Watch the quarterback. He'll tap his helmet. And that's a signal to the wide receiver. See him hit his helmet? He's telling the wide receivers, I'm expecting a blitz right now. You have to cut your route down. If you're going 10 yards, you cut it down to 5. But his offense jumped. But when he makes that move, Ron, with his helmet, he's telling his receivers, you better cut it off quick because here they come.
Dosey hit, loses the ball on the ground, and Utah has recovered it. Lewis Bush is the man who knocked him down and knocked the ball loose.
Ron, you're going to call Lewis Bush a lot tonight because he started all 11 games last year as a linebacker, but he broke his ankle in the first practice in pads this year at Washington State. His coaches, Andre Patterson, told me, he said, he's 100% tonight for the first time. And he said, you're going to see a player play possessed after the quarterback. And he beat the block of Cecil Thomas, number 69. A bowl game benefits a guy who was hurt during the season because now he's healthy for the first time with a layoff.
Mike, that's 10 times this year that he's had a tackle for a loss. Short drop this time. Gonna go long. Got a man there at the 5, just overthrown. Oh my goodness. Joe Welch, who was listed as number 3 at split end, but also can motor, is the man that he wanted.
There's some contact on this route on Joe Welch, number 87. You're going to see him get hit here by Torrey Hunter. Then he readjusts, and he has Torrey Hunter beat. Torrey Hunter kind of gives up on the play, but Frank Dosey just a little too strong throwing the football.
Steve Young, his first punt, 49 yards. This one he's kicking from his own 41 as you look at Torrey Hunter. Pooch kick to the far sideline, and he may have pooched it a little too quickly. That's not going to go for very much. They will spot it out of bounds around the 27-yard line. We'll be right back. Washington State 14-0 in this opening quarter. And Mike, that was a 16-yard kick. So the Cougars take it over 75 yards away. Utah's got to come up with a stop right here. and come up with some combination on offense so that they don't just get too far away real early, which they already are. 151 yards already for Bledsoe. He hadn't missed. Right there, looks as though he wants to throw the ball. Actually, it was Dumas who took the pitch. I really think he wanted to, Mike, and didn't turn around and throw it. And nobody had picked up his receiver.
Looked like a halfback pass, but just was a bust from the start. Jay Dumas, when you get a big lead, sometimes you take some chances with the pass. You see him, he's going to throw the ball, but he just doesn't look like he can get turned. The pressure from inside from Darren Castaigne, number 41, kept him from getting set to throw that football.
Short drop to throw. Another missed tackle. That'll be a first down as Pointer caught the ball, got by the tackle in the open field. Let's take a look at Washington State's season and see how they got to 8-3. 5-3 in the Pac-10. First winning record in 3 years. Their highest ranking was 13th, which is the best since 1958. And Mike, their biggest wins this year: Arizona, UCLA, and also Washington.
I think their biggest win, you could put a circle on that last game there, Washington.
Boy.
In the snow at Pullman. Big win for the Cougars.
Right Fair has 5 yards, 6, 7, and they will mark him down at the 43 as Reggie Alston is the guy who comes over to make the hit. Reggie missed the last 2 games of the season because of a shoulder injury. Has the longest interception return of the year. They went for a touchdown. That was back early on.
Shambe Wright Fair, who we're looking at right at this point, does the 3 things you have to do as a running back. He blocks, he runs, and he catches the football.
2 times the Pac-10 leader in rushing. Shambe Wright Fair again. Big opening, and does he take advantage? Inside the 40, and he's down to the 37-yard line. Lurie defensively.
Shambe Wright Fair, number 32. When you talk about running backs, now we're going to show you Mark Swanson, the free safety, number 5. A running back has to make you miss. Watch him make the free safety. Mark Swanson miss and then pick up the extra yardage. Another look, Drew Bledsoe handing off to Shambe Wright Fair. Makes people miss. See the little move? Mark Swanson, a very good free safety, bit, and a good gain.
Pass is caught. They're going to say he had possession. Nope, they trapped it. Shaq Snyder is the man that he wanted, just a little bit low, and he lost his footing trying to pick up the low ball.
I've been on the sideline before when quarterbacks get in a rhythm against some pretty good quarterbacks, and I know what's going through Fred Whittingham's, the defensive coordinator's, mind right now is, how do you want to take your poison? You want to take it blitzing him, or you want to sit back and play zone? But right now, nothing's working against Drew Bledsoe.
Little counter play, nothing doing, and they stop him for no gain. Tonga is the man who makes the hit to knock him down, and Mike, that's the first time that Wright Fair has been stopped for no gain.
Well, they brought the linebacker, Peter Tonga, number 49, who averages 9 tackles per game. And in the 4-3 defense, Ron, both teams are playing the 4-3 defense. The middle linebacker has to be the key player on the run game. There's Fred Whittingham, the defensive coordinator, just trying to find a way to slow down this train.
Freddie's son played at BYU, right?
Played at BYU under Lavelle Edwards.
3rd down, the line to make the 27. No backs. Pass the middle screen. C.J. Davis is close to the first down at the 27-yard line. 3:07 left to play in this opening quarter. Washington State up by a pair of touchdowns and trying to make it more.
see Ron McBride just rubbing his eyes. He knows what kind of evening he's in for here if he doesn't stop this Washington State offense.
No, it's got to be short. Mike, if you're up 14-0 and the line of scrimmage at the 27-yard line, you just go for it, don't you?
I think you have to go for it here. They haven't stopped you, and I'll tell you, when you have a 6'5" quarterback and you're that close, quarterback sneak could go behind Robbie Tobeck, 6'4", 275-pound center, and it'll be tough to stop the quarterback sneak here.
The first thing that you said, and that is to take Bledsoe, and he'll have the first down.
When you have that kind of relationship size-wise of a quarterback, 6'5", 227, and you got the big center, Robbie Tobeck's 275 pounds, against a 4-3 defense, the quarterback sneak, you should be able to pick up that first down.
And let's go down to Adrian Karsten for this update.
Well, Ron, Coach Godfrey talking about how strong Tobeck is. This man who can squat 700 pounds. He also helps out Bledsoe in a great way. When Tobeck comes to the line, he actually makes the defensive line call for the offensive line. Of course, Drew can hear that's all Drew really has to concentrate is reading those backers and defensive backs.
Adrian, another thing is most quarterbacks just ride the wake of the center. Bledsoe's big enough to push the center. All the time in the world, wide open, complete to Scheck-Snyder, first and goal, Washington State. And he juggled it, and still no one was close enough to take him down.
This reminds me of Denny's always open. I mean, because the receivers, I mean, they're wide open. There's pressure coming after Drew Bledsoe, but no one's getting to him. And receivers are running free. Look how free this receiver is. He actually tips the ball up, and another missed tackle by Mark Swanson. Larry Forty makes the play.
Most of the times, if you tip a ball like that over the middle, you lose your head.
Lose your head and lose the ball, but
yeah,
he has
exactly.
both of them to show for it.
First and goal. The ball just outside the 5.
Here you go, baby.
Chambé right fair. We'll go down to the 3-yard line as Sharif Shaw up from a strong safety position as we're about to go under 2 minutes left in this opening quarter.
If I'm Utah on defense, I hope they hand the ball off to Chambé right fair and keep it out of Drew Bledsoe's hands because he's on some kind of hot night at this point. 8 out of 9.
Look at this. But here's the most impressive thing. 5 different receivers already. 197 yards and 1 touchdown. Sparks comes into the lineup. He'll join right fair in the backfield.
Here's where he's also tough, Ron, is play action faking down here and throwing a play action pass.
That's what they did, and it is tipped and almost intercepted. It looked as though Carolyn is the man that he wanted. Christensen almost made the pickoff, but he was looking for his tight end.
Well, the pressure came on Drew Bledsoe and forced to throw early. Preston Christensen's the only one over there. Here's the pressure from the backside. Sharif Shah, and that ball should have been picked off.
Just taking folks with him. His second for right fair. Tobeck and Garman leading the way on the blocking on that offensive front.
I've been there before. When you're outmanned, you're outmanned. And they're outmanned offensively. Their defense against Drew Bledsoe and the Washington State offense.
Price knocks it home. So we'll take a break as we take one more look at the touchdown. 1:20 left in this opening quarter, and this makes it 21-0 Washington State. From Tucson, the Weiserlock Copper Bowl, 21-0 Washington State. And those beautiful pictures you're looking at right there, the Met blimp being piloted by Captains Hunter Harris and Maurice Milesman. Got some great shots. Maybe you guys are keeping the rain away. However, I think Utah thinks probably it's raining Cougars right now. You know what this reminds me a little bit of, though, Mike? We did the bowl in Las Vegas. And Bowling Green could do no wrong, and Nevada looked as though they couldn't do anything right. And all of a sudden they came back and tied that game and went in front. Miller on the return. He will not even make it back to the 20-yard line.
Josh Dunningham, the left guard, number 61, is going to make a key block. Then number 5, Derek Sparks, is going to make a key block. The left guard is going to kick out first. There's the kick out. Then the block by Derek Sparks. It creates the lane for Chambé Right Fair to get in the end zone for the 3-yard touchdown.
4:41 consumed on the drive. 12 plays and a 3-yard run.
Sometimes you can get it too easy when you go to sleep.
Well, we talked about that same thing that night in Las Vegas about losing momentum and then trying to retrieve it. They swing to pass out. Face mask. Flag finally comes down. The play's going to be knocked down for no gain, but they'll wind up with the penalty. As Keith Williams, you could see the initial stab at him, and he did grab him to the mask.
I'm amazed that you could see that. We're up here with Delta Airlines, and you were able to see that the face mask happened all the way down on that football field.
Your head's not supposed to go in that direction, Michael, when you're running. See if it's a 5 or a 15. Adrian Karsten, let's get an update from you.
Well, the verbal address that Coach McBride just gave him, team, I promise you will never make it past the primetime censors. But beyond that, I think on defense, when these guys get back on the field, there's going to be a desperate attempt to get some penetration in the Washington State backfield. They're going to hit absolutely every gap. They're forgetting the man-over-man concept and just going to hit every gap trying to get some penetration.
The only problem with that is you got defensive backs running with those wide receivers one-on-one, and you got a quarterback that's hotter than a fire right now.
See Washington State creeping up. They stay at home. Pass deep over the middle, incomplete. Williams is the man he wanted. Mobley is the guy who had the cover. And conversely speaking, one guy as hot as can be, and Dolce, because of everything that has happened, running game is not going. He's a little out of sync right now.
Well, the key for Frank Dolce is protection, and Cecil Thomas against Lewis Bush, 48, the defensive end. Right now, Lewis Bush is getting too much penetration. Frank Dolce doesn't have the time he needs right now.
Quick out. Anderson will take it to the 30, and that will be enough for the first down.
Frank Dolce, Dan Henson, the quarterback coach, talked about his quarterback to me the other day, and he said that he's mean on the field, but he's the kind of kid you'd want if your daughter was going to marry somebody. You'd want him to marry Frank Dolce. He's going to be a doctor, Ron. This probably is his last college football game, of course, tonight. Maybe his last football game, but he's going on to be a doctor. And sometimes he's out of the junior college. Sometimes junior college players get a bad rap. I think junior college kids are great to have.
Agreed. A lot of them have done awfully well. Big opening here, and here we go. Keith Williams caught and slung down inside the 25. Mobley made the stop, but it's a gain of 46.
Sengar Mobley did not give up, number 8, and he prevents the touchdown. That's what you like to see in a defensive back. Somebody who's not going to give up on it. Watch the blocking here that springs Keith Williams, number 20. Ed Castillo, number 79, with a key block. But watch Mobley, number 8. He's just not going to give up. Too much speed and prevents the touchdown.
First and 10 for Utah at the 24. Pressure up the middle. Throws for the end zone, just puts it up in the air, and that one is tipped and incomplete. And with that, the end of the first quarter. So let's take a break. Washington State 21, Utah nothing.
Everybody wants a battery that goes the distance, but you never know when they're about to run out of gas. Only Duracell has the Copper Top Battery Tester, so you can be sure your batteries will keep going down the road. You can't top the Copper Top.
Unlike many other luxury cars, Lincoln Continental comes with standard dual airbags. So while some say the older you get, the smarter you get, we prefer to say the smarter you get, the older you get. Lincoln Continental, what a luxury car should be.
1874, the first transatlantic cable connecting Ireland and America. It was made by Siemens. That was then. This is now. Today, Siemens makes...
To the first 15 minutes, Washington State 21-0. And Mike, you talk about dominance in a quarter. Washington State 242 yards to 88 for Utah. We'll talk more about that in just a moment. Jones with the carry. He'll go inside the 20. With that many yards, it tells you one thing. Utah has had them in a position for their defense to put a stopper on them. They've just gone from long distances to score every time.
Tells me they're in trouble. That's what it tells me, the yardage. But Utah needs a score here bad. Frank Dulce has to figure a way to get him in that end zone. May have to go to some kind of maximum protections to try to give him a little bit more time. He just doesn't have enough time to throw the football.
Williams in motion, and you see that ball is tipped at the line of scrimmage. And just what Mike is saying, that man is standing in a shotgun formation and still can't get a count and a half pass away.
Well, that's Ron Childs coming on a blitz, a linebacker, and Frank Dulce just doesn't have time to throw the football. Off to the shotgun. Here comes the blitz. They're bringing 7 people. Ron Childs is not picked up. Hands in the air, deflects the football. Tough to throw when you're laying on the side.
Jorgensen to attempt the field goal almost right in the middle of the field. This will be a 37-yard attempt. See, offset just a little bit to the right. Blocked on the ground and recovered by Washington State at the 29, and Torrey Hunter, I believe, is the man who got a hand on it. And that man's got to be saying, if it were not for bad luck, there would have been no luck at all tonight so far. Let's watch the footing on this for the kicker.
Chris Jorgensen, number 11. He just didn't really have a chance on this one either, because he did slip with his tennis shoe on the left foot, but didn't get much height on it.
Well, because he's slipping, he's not going to.
And blocked him. He never had a chance. Too much penetration. Again, Torrey Hunter, number 24, looked like he was rushing the passer.
Tries to look off at safety, throws the pass complete. He'll have another first down on this throw right here. C.J. Davis is the man who made the reception. Odom defensively.
Drew Bledsoe's making it look easy. He has such a strong arm. Ted Williams, the offensive coordinator, not the former baseball hitter, but he used to coach at UCLA. He said he has as strong as arm as Troy Aikman. Jack Thompson, the throwing Samoan, told me he felt Drew Bledsoe has as strong as arm as John Elway. So when you have a strong arm like that, you can throw it all over the football field. The outs, the hitches, hash mark the field. He just is blessed with a very strong gun.
Derek Sparks, a sophomore out of Santa Ana, California, comes in as running back, and he's the one who gets the handoff. And he'll take it out to the 45-yard line. 21-0 as we play in the first minute of this second quarter. Washington State leading. The complete numbers on that opening quarter: rushing 46 yards, passing 196 for the total of 242. And Utah 74 on the ground, 14 passing for the total of 88.
I've been impressed with Drew Bledsoe. I'll tell you, Pac-10 player that has got a lot of notice. Just been impressed with the way he's in control of this offense. Short drop puts a little touch on this one. Bobo is the man that he wanted, overthrows him.
One of the few times that he's done that tonight.
Ron, and this is a Utah defense that has seen passing in the WAC when you have BYU and Hawaii throws the football out there. And so they're used to seeing good passing teams in schemes. But Drew Bledsoe, I'm sure, is the best quarterback they're going to see this year.
Third down, and the line to make for the Cougars is just shy of midfield at the 50. Utah shows blitz, and here they come. And he will trip over his own running back. Sparks is the man who tripped him up. Christensen was coming after him, but Sparks went down to block, and he went right over his legs.
See, they went to that shifting because when you play in a bowl game, your last game's November 21st, each team swaps the 11-game tapes. They're trying to show something new here to Utah that they haven't seen, because you can't do it. You can show a few new things in the regular season because of the week that you have to prepare. But when you have a bowl game, you can do a lot of new things. That thing didn't work.
Johnson with the punt. This is a great coverage kick. Wow. Williams all the way back at the 10-yard line, and he has no place to go. That is a 51-yard kick. Timeout on the field. 21-0. Washington State. We'll be right back.
Everybody wants a battery that goes the distance. But you never know when they're about to run out of gas. Only Duracell has the copper top battery tester. So you can be sure your batteries will keep going down the road. For batteries you know will last, you can't top the copper top.
Out of 750 cars, it was voted best in show at the North American International Auto Show.
Lock Copper Bowl is presented by Duracell batteries. You can't top the copper top. And in part by Chrysler Corporation. In the car business, you lead, follow, or get out of the way. 21-0. That's almost like what has happened here. Washington State saying to Utah,
lead, follow, or get out
of the way. And it's been the latter so far.
Well, Frank Dulce needs somebody to block up front so he can lead.
Keith Williams, who goes straight ahead. He had to back up what you're saying. Dulce, 3 of 7 for 14 yards. And 3 of those passes, 3 of the 7, they've been rushed simply because he had somebody just breathing down his throat.
Get a whack-pack matchup here tonight. And I was here at Arizona in 1977 with Tony Mason, who's an excellent football coach. Did a great job here at Arizona. Took this program from the WAC to the PAC and took them to the Fiesta Bowl. And so I know there's not great feeling between the two conferences. The WAC would like to prove to the PAC that they can play with them.
McBride, has coached here 3 different times. Quick out pass, and he's got this one complete. That's Hooks. Rushing and Mobley on the stop.
Get a little mustard on that throw, Ron, out to the corner. He threw it from the left hash. Frank Dulce, number 12, was able to get that ball out quick, and that made the play to Greg Hooks. The steam on the ball and how quick he got it out to him.
Mike, they got the ball at the 30-yard line. If I got it to the 50 or better, I would go Ruski or whatever. I'd do it. I'd pull out every stop, and I'd get on the scoreboard.
Well, there's a lot of man coverage being played by Washington State. One thing you do when you get a man coverage is throw back to the quarterback, because quarterback's the one player that you don't have accounted for in man coverage.
Keith Williams breaks a tackle, and that will be a 10-yard run. In fact, counted off at 11. He got a good surge on that right side. Thomas and also McNitt with the blocking. Burns made the stop.
I like the quickness in Keith Williams, number 20, as you look at it from the end zone. Look at the little darting moves, and then he breaks into the secondary. In this Washington State secondary, they're so quick, Ron, that's why they blitz a lot, because they have a lot of confidence in Torrey Hunter, 24, and Greg Burns at the corner to play man coverage.
McClanahan is out. T.J. Folkers comes in replacing him at middle linebacker. That'll go to the 45, and then defensively, Anderson will be wrapped up.
Jamal, 6'1", 235. He's a junior out of Woodland Hills, California. He's been plagued with a hip injury this year. Very good blocker. Coaches like the way he handles that fullback position, both carrying the football and also blocking, and catches the ball pretty well. He's got 18 receptions this year. One of the few times Washington State sends only 4. Pass gotten away. He's got a man there. Almost intercepted. It was Jamal Anderson who had gotten free. Torrey Hunter is the man who went up and almost came down with the pickle.
When your quarterback scrambles, you usually have a rule to get in rhythm with him and move with him. It looked to me like Jamal Anderson, number 32, kind of stopped. And then Frank Dosey just threw the ball over his back shoulder. Torrey Hunter, number 24, almost with the pick. Well, they need to really convert this 3rd down, Ron.
3rd down on the line to make for Utah, just across the 49 of Washington State. 10:40 left until halftime. Here comes the blitz. Pass over the middle, and there comes a flag. Mike, as they're going to pick up the 1st down, it gives me an opportunity. Lewis, who was injured back on the very first play of the game for Utah, sprained knee, will not return. We just got the report from the locker room.
Frank Dosey, the quarterback, see him hit the helmet here. He's telling his receivers, they're going to blitz me, cut your route short. Now you're looking down from the blimp, and here comes the blitz. There's the adjusted route, and then they pick up the interference call. Good play by Frank Dosey, and another good play by Greg Hooks, the wide receiver.
So the ball just across midfield. It's a 1st down for Utah. And the 6th penalty against Washington State.
Mike Zimmer, the defensive coordinator of Washington State, knows he's got an advantage in his defensive line. Just continues to bring the heat on Frank Dosey.
Keep an eye to see Amafala comes in the ballgame, number 52. He is their Ruski guy, right at guard. Going to go up on top on this one now. And it is caught at the 11-yard line by Hooks. Good heavens, how did he come down with it?
He adjusted to the ball, Ron. That's why he made this catch. Frank Dosey just put it up, and it's against Torrey Hunter, number 24. One thing about Torrey Hunter, Jack Thompson told me on the field, he likes to talk to the receivers. He talks the whole game. Greg Hooks, finally good protection for Frank Dosey. But watch him adjust to the football. Just keeps moving his shoulder and adjusts to the football and makes the catch.
Wow, what kind of concentration. Hooks. 38 yards in that reception. His longest of the year is 42. As it goes straight ahead with Pierre Jones. Lewis Bush there to make the stop defensively.
Lewis Bush is making a statement tonight. He's finally healthy, 6'3", 254-pound senior. Started as a linebacker last year. Now as a senior is playing the outside. The outside rush. Got a lot of pro scouts here tonight watching Lewis Bush.
Ray Hall, number 92, a defensive tackle for Washington State, injured an ankle on that play, but he stayed in. Shotgun formation. Pressure from the outside, and this pass caught, and touchdown, Sean Williams.
Again, Ron, a blitz came, they picked it up. Sean Williams with the quick out, and then made a move on Sindor Mobley, number 8, for the touchdown. Frank Dosey made this play because of the quick release.
Jurgensen to attempt the extra point as the Utes finally on the scoreboard at the 9:35 mark. He's got it. Take one more look at the touchdown pass.
Look at the quick release by Frank Dosey. Just barely had the ball in his hands. And then the move by Sean Williams.
So we'll take a break. 21-7. Utah trying to get back in this one. Up until that drive, Dulce 3 of 7, 14 yards, and then 3 of 4 for 61 yards on that drive. All the difference in the world. He got some time, and he proved just what you talked about impressed you all week.
Ron, he didn't get a lot of time, but he throws the ball so quick. The release.
This is Hunter. He'll take it back just across the 20. And let's get an update from Adrian Karsten. Adrian.
Ron, Frank Dulce showed a lot of poise on that last play. The original play called in the huddle was off tackle left. What he did, he came to the line and called blue 33, which is an out pattern, which is exactly what he's looking for. Quick drawback, step back, throws the ball, delivers. Result is 7 points. Great job by Dulce.
Mike Pattinson has come in at quarterback. Junior from Moscow, Idaho, replacing Bledsoe. Drop to throw and has it complete. That's C.J. Davis. He'll step out of bounds just short of the 30-yard line.
Washington State likes Mike Pattinson, the junior quarterback, number 13. Looks like nothing's wrong with Drew Bledsoe, sending in the plays. Mike Price, I like the idea of giving your second guy some experience. And, of course, if he loses Drew Bledsoe, this is the guy that's going to be your quarterback next year. So let him play in this big game.
That's a great point. Second down and short right here. His ball club on top, 21-7. Blitz coming in the middle as they go with a running play. And this is Derek Sparks. Boy, he takes a pretty good shot on the near sideline. He'll pick up the first down. But Mark Swanson, along with Leary, over to rub headgears with him.
There's a lot of good juniors and a lot of good underclassmen across country. If number 11, Drew Bledsoe, stays, he'll be in for the Heisman Trophy next year. If he goes, of course, people say he's going to be the number 1 player drafted. Tough decision for him and a tough decision for his coach.
Left until halftime. This 14-point lead for Washington State. First down again. The short drop, pumps it, looks, now going to run it, and will be tackled and knocked out just short of the 45-yard line. Mike, tell me about this. New England has the first pick, then Seattle. All right, now I keep hearing that New England wants a defensive tackle, but how can you justify? I know you got the 3 C's, Curry, Copeland, and from Caesar from Miami. How can you justify taking a defensive lineman though if this youngster decides to make himself available?
I think that's their need. Copeland or Curry would probably be the first player taken by New England if they need a defensive tackle. And then Drew Bledsoe, if he comes out Seattle, it's perfect for him.
But could you justify taking a defensive lineman over a quarterback? Clarence Williams with the completed pass just across the 50.
I think Drew Bledsoe is the best of the quarterbacks that's coming out. Of course, I hope he stays in school. I'd like to see him another year at Washington State and go for the Heisman Trophy and the Pac-10 records. But
so
quarterbacks are hard to they're hard to find, Ron. Excuse me. But defensive linemen are hard to find too. I've always said in college football, the difference in the top 20 football teams and everybody else is defensive linemen. I sure have been impressed with Drew Bledsoe tonight. And I like this move by Mike Price. Like the fact of getting Mike Pattinson some opportunity to play tonight in a key role.
Schexnayder in motion away from the line of scrimmage. Then they go with Sparks, and the carry will be hit in the backfield, and that's Preston Christensen who is there to make the tackle. And now it's going to bring up a second down and long situation.
Christensen, number 48, is going to come from the bottom of your screen. Just no one to block him. They pulled the guard out. Bob Garman, number 74, but so quick was Preston Christensen in the backfield, beat the block of the pulling guard.
Finance major out of Salt Lake City. Clock runs with 8 minutes and 10 seconds until halftime. 21-7 Washington State. Anderson fumbles the snap. Utah has recovered. Lambert makes the recovery.
Well, sometimes, as we talked, it comes so easy for you. And now the turnover for Utah. I think Mike Patterson just came out too soon or didn't get the football from his center, Robbie Tobeck, number 66. But now, Ron, when you get the ball, now you're looking for a trick play or a chance to go downtown. When you're across the 50-yard line and you get the ball in first down situation, an excellent chance to go for the home run right now for Utah.
These Utah kids turning around to their crowd and asking them to respond even more. They're down 14, but to follow up your point, they would love nothing more than to come with a quick score right here and cut it to 7 now. And the big fullback and a little counter play will take it for close to 5.
When we did the Bowling Green Nevada game, Nevada plays 2 quarterbacks, and we watched Chris Vargas come off the bench for Nevada. They called him Magic, and he did make magic that night as he brought him back. And what Utah needs out of Frank Dulce is a consistent drive here to get him in the end zone, because I'm sure we're going to see Drew Bledsoe back in the ball game the next series.
Well, it was Adrian Karsten over there asking him that very question, and the conversation didn't take very long. Dulce still looking, going to run it. Close to the first down. Nope, he went out of bounds, short of it. Ron Childs is the man who was coming after him.
Frank Dulce with the background at El Camino Junior College in Los Angeles, a very solid program. Has time to throw. Now the coverage is there, so he decides to run. And watch him try to stretch the football out for the first down. Gets a spot about a yard short.
Did you see what his receiver down deep did? Rather than go back to the middle, went to the sideline, which really aided the defensive back. It's like another guy there.
I think he got the first down here, right? He got stuck pretty hard on the quarterback sneak, but it appears to me he got the first down.
Chris Frank is the man who put the headgear on him from where they have spotted the football. They'll have to bring the chains in from all the way the other side, but it does appear that he'll have it.
Even if he doesn't have it, I'd run the ball for 4th down. I'm trying to pick this first down up, but it looks like it's close. Wow, I think he got a bad spot. He's got to go for this play, I think. Watch the quarterback sneak and see if he did get the good spot. No, he didn't. He got the benefit of a spot. Ron Childs, number 31, just closed in on the quarterback sneak and saved him from getting the first down.
He actually got a pretty good spot, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he got a generous spot. Now on 4th down, I think if I'm going to quarterback sneak, I'm going to go to the other side, knowing where Childs is at. I'm going to go to the right side.
I don't know.
Oh, he got it this time. I'll tell you what, if he didn't get it this time, they'll have to investigate these officials.
Frank and Saldivar defensively making the stop, and from where you see the mark right there, it is very, very close. The most dangerous thing that happened on the play was tight end in motion coming back, almost turned back upfield too quickly.
I think he did turn up the field too quickly.
(21-7) our score. 7-11 left until halftime. And Ron McBride wants to walk right out there and take a real close look at this one. First down, Utah.
He's a player's coach. I watched him all week out there at practice. The players have fun with him, even though they called him McScrooge because of Christmas and putting him on the curfew. But they have a lot of fun with Ron McBride. He's the kind of coach, emotional coach, a leader. Players just rally behind him.
Pierre Jones comes in as the lone setback this time. He gets whacked down hard at the line of scrimmage. You know exactly what Utah is trying to do to make the presence of that running game there so that the passing game will work. But I tell you, Washington State has been extremely tough on this series against the running game.
When Washington State went into the season, the question mark on their team was the defensive line. As you see, Andre Patterson, a excellent defensive line coach, Ron. He really is a quiet leader with his defensive line, but his defensive line has really come alive and made this defensive football team.
Well, they've had some sticks on this series. See the linebackers on the launching pad. They stay at home. Pass over the middle, and he's got it. That's Hooks. Be short of the first down, so again it's going to be a third down situation for Utah as Rushing comes over to make the stop.
That's just a little option route to Greg Hooks where he goes down 7-8 yards. Hooks inside or Hooks outside. If it's man coverage, he'd run away from the man. Now I would expect Utah that they're going to get a blitz out of Washington State here, so Frank Dulce has to make a good decision here against the blitz.
That could get confusing in a huddle. You know, Hooks runs a hook pattern, or is it a hook to Hooks?
Hook to hook.
Third down. They need the ball just inside the 30. Utah trails by 14. Here's the blitz. Gets it. Oh, Lusk had the ball and dropped it. Just fought it. Instead of caressing it, just brought it down to the ground and couldn't hold on.
When you run a one-back offense, even though your quarterback doesn't get sacked a lot, here's the results of the blitz. Mark Whitmire, number 33, they're going to get hit. The quarterback's going to get hit in the one-back set a lot. And Henry Lusk, number 9, I think he had the first down, Ron, if he holds on to the football, and maybe a bigger play.
Well, he's the large one we talked about, 6'2", 230, and runs well. That's a tough tackle in the open field. Jorgensen will attempt the field goal. This attempt of 51 yards. Tried one, had it blocked. Lost his footing on that one. No good, off to the left. He had the distance, had his footing on that one. So let's take a timeout. 5:29 left until halftime. Washington State on top.
Sports news from ESPN anytime, day or night.
95 cents per minute. Call 1-900-76-ESPN.
Welcome back to the Weiser-Lock Copper Bowl in Tucson. Ron Franklin, Mike Gottfried, and Adrian Karsten. Glad to have you with us tonight. Thank goodness the rains have stayed away. Washington State has Bledsoe back in the lineup. I don't think there's any surprise to that. Do you, Mike? Pass tipped and incomplete and almost intercepted. Reggie Alston had an opportunity. And Adrian Karsten, what do you have for us?
Well, Ron, Mike Price made a promise to his second-string quarterback that he would give him the opportunity to play in this game. And that he did, to hold on to the lead. Of course, that fumble didn't help his chances any. Now, the conversation you mentioned that I had with Drew was so short. I said, Drew, you going back in? Yes. Well, there you have it. Watch for some play action on this series.
9 of 13, Adrian, for over 200 yards for Bledsoe. See the blitz in the middle. Pressure. Bledsoe's going to be sacked at the 36. That's Lambert who gets to him.
Number 46, Lambert, the inside linebacker with a blitz, just comes scot-free. And I think you have to give some credit here to Fred Whittingham, the defensive coordinator. He got shredded in the first quarter. And all of a sudden, he settled his defense down. They're used to the speed now. And he's got some things that are working for him. You see him with a headset on there. He's a very emotional coach. Was with the Rams, a very solid coach with Jimmy Viccarella and Bud Carson and Ray Malavasi with the Rams.
Third down, they need the 43. Pressure again, and Bledsoe gets it away, and in fact throws it complete to right fair. That's hard to believe.
Ronnie has such a strong arm in that 6'5" frame, and then Freddie Whittingham, he's got to be happy with the way his defense has responded. Talk about college football and stories in college football. Your defense gets shredded, you're outmanned, and all of a sudden they reach back and find a scheme and set on some things, and now they're getting the best of the Washington State offense.
Steve Johnson to punt. Until a few moments ago, he hadn't had to kick all night long. Line drive kick. And, boy, that's a dangerous move. If you're not going to take it, now here comes a late flag in as some hitting was going on. 35 yards of the kick. personal foul against Washington State. Well, be sure and start your NFL playoffs Saturday and Sunday this week with ESPN's Emmy Award-winning pregame show, NFL Game Day. Chris Berman, Joe Theismann, Tom Jackson, and Chris Mortensen have all the latest features and analysis this Saturday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time and then Sunday at noon Eastern. And tune in for the best in highlights and analysis on NFL Primetime, both Saturday and Sunday, 7:30 Eastern Time. So Mike, Utah's got to take advantage here. They got the football on the turnover in very good field position on the last possession and came away with no points.
Ron, the whole key is they have to be able to handle the blitz. Because when you decide to blitz Frank Dulce, you're one-on-one in the secondary, so the chance of the big play's there. Just got to give him some time to throw the football, and then receivers have to hold on because you're always running away from the defensive backs and man coverage.
Well, they're going to get us to start this one off at the 41. They have 3 minutes and 48 seconds to work with until halftime, but it's 21-7.
Can't make up their mind where they want to spot the football. Now they just lost 5 yards, Utah, so they're backing it up 5 yards.
Better go ahead and snap it, hadn't they?
Yep.
Lost about 4, actually. Going to put it back at the 45.
It's quick foul, 15-yard penalty, first down.
Ron, I've always liked when you get the ball past the 50 when it's coaching to throw on first down. Go downtown.
Makes play calling a little simpler, doesn't it?
A little simpler when you cross that 50-yard line.
Keith Williams is the lone setback this time. And they'll go shotgun.
Now here's where they're lining up to try to give him a little bit more time. You see him bring the 2 receivers in the backfield. They're going to max protection on here.
And the blitz at the middle, drops the ball momentarily. And swings it out. This is Lusk. Lusk, whoa, puts a head down and then comes out of bounds at the 32. Mike, he's a wide receiver, but he actually goes as a fullback. Boy, he wanted that hit before he went out of bounds.
Well, you talked about his size, Ron. 230-pound receiver, and you saw the benefit of being 230 pounds. Now look at Utah. They're trying to make an adjustment here to pick up the blitz, but you got big defensive linemen on backs. Frank Dulce makes this play by that little spin move. Gave him a little time, then the ball out to Henry Lusk, and he just ran over.
Boy. And I'm telling you,
Curtis Geathers, the nickelback.
Not to be redundant, but for 230, he runs extremely well in the open field.
Looks like another check-off by Frank Dulce.
Short drop, and he gets a quick out. That's Williams just shy of the 26-yard line.
We heard Adrian Carson earlier in the game talk about blue 33, a checkoff, and I'm not sure whether it's a blue 33 on that play, but that's the same play Adrian said that they called the blue 33, which is the quick out to the inside receiver against man coverage. As you see Ron McBride a little bit more settled down here in his first bowl game.
He's down 21-7, but his club is driving as we're about to go under 3 minutes until halftime. And a direct snap to Williams. Gets a block. Great touchdown, Utah.
Great football play, Ron.
25 yards.
And then Frank Dulce made that play because he faked like he had the football, but it was a direct snap to number 20, Keith Williams. All the defensive linemen went after Frank Dulce. Good play call by Rick Rasnick, the offensive coordinator of Utah, and they're back in this football game.
Mike, this thing's got Vegas Bowl written all over.
Nevada and Bowling Green all over again. Great college football game.
Jorgensen tries to make it a 7-point game. And he's got it. So let's take a break. 2:51 until halftime, and the Utes are back in this one. For good reason, along with his teammates. It's now 21-14. They were down 21-0.
It's a great call by Rick Rasnick, the offensive coordinator, and they just executed that perfectly for the touchdown. Really faked out Washington State on defense.
From the 2, Hunter. No to run, and he will not make it back to the 20-yard line.
Let's take a look at this touchdown. Now, the direct snap is going to come to the fullback. Dosey's going to pretend like he's got the football. Then there's going to be a key block by Henry Lusk. Watch the snap. Watch Frank Dosey. He pretends like he's got the ball. The quick snap to Keith Williams. A good block by Henry Lusk, and it's touchdown city for Keith Williams. Now, if you're Washington State Mike Price, you got to get Drew Bledsoe back in rhythm.
Check the difference here. Washington State only 30 in this quarter. The quick out pass, and that's good to Davis. CJ will step out of bounds just short of the 25-yard line.
That's how they started the game, Ron, to try to get him in a rhythm. A little quick hitches, screen passes, little short passes to get him back going. Now, he sat out a series. Last series, Utah just really blitzed him and sacked him a couple times. So now they want to get back to what they did in the first quarter.
Drills this one. It is caught just across midfield. C.J. Davis.
See, that's impressive. The strong arm of Drew Bledsoe. Sometimes when you have a strong arm quarterback, they have a tendency to throw off the back foot because their arm's so strong. Watch him deliver this football on the seam, right on the money before the safety can get over and too deep to C.J. Davis, number 1. Mark Swanson, number 5, just didn't have time to get over because of the strength of the arm of Drew Bledsoe.
Looked as though that also he mistook where that ball was going to come into play.
Comes a blitz by Utah.
On the outside, and the pass overthrown. Bobo is the man that he wanted.
Washington State coaches are on the field on the sideline. They wanted interference on that call.
Coming up at halftime, the Duracell Report, Sports Center update, and also live from the Sugar Bowl, a report from our guys down there, and we'll have a preview of the Holiday Bowl.
Hawaii and Illinois. Bob Wagner, what a great job he's done in Hawaii this year. Ron McBride, a little bit more confident now on the sideline. Ron, matter of fact, took his hat off. We got that 14 points.
Right fair. Going to be hit at the 45. He'll fight his way forward for a couple. And now here comes a late flagging. Shaw defensively.
Making the running game bounce outside. That's why Utah's having success against the running game.
Dead ball. Personal foul. Defense. Dead ball. Personal foul. Offense. Third down.
Kareem Leary and Calvin Schechter, number 6, are both involved in this and in little extracurricular activities. But I'd rather see him throw it on one of them, Ron, and mark the penalty off, and rather on both of them. Usually the second guy gets caught, second hit.
The rule I'd like to see is either gone for the game or out for the rest of this series and one more.
Yeah, you don't like that if you're coaching.
I know you don't, but that's, you know,
give him a
doesn't mean anything.
Keep him in the game.
Short drop again, and the quick out pass. Bobo got turned around, and now Washington State will have to give it back with 1:58 on the clock until halftime.
Drew Bledsoe just seems to be out of rhythm now with the momentum shift by Utah. Just threw behind Philip Bobo on that pass. Came too easy, Ron, at 21 points. You made a good point early in the game about Utah never being here in this bowl game. They settled down now. Now they're playing with a little confidence.
And here they come after the kicker, and he barely gets it away. Fair catch is called for. Then he starts to run. Now we got 2 flags.
Well, that
they didn't give him enough room, I don't believe. And secondly, then he started to run after the fair catch.
Well, I think they didn't give him enough room. There should be a penalty. This should be a penalty on the Cougars. But I've learned a long time ago, you can't guess on this.
30 yards on the kick.
5 yard bumper zone penalty. First down.
So that the buffer zone, it's
well, there's no doubt he didn't have a whole lot of room to catch a football. Now, as you see him come down, now there's a block into him. People are running too close to him. And I think the penalty is really on number 56. Kyle Foy. No, T.J. Folkers, number 56.
Mike Price really didn't argue. He wanted to know on the sideline what it was, but he didn't argue with the call. I think he had a pretty good idea of what had happened. All right, 1:48 left until halftime. Hit as he throws, and the ball overthrown. Lusk is the guy he wanted, but that was Bush who was hanging on him.
They have to go back in at halftime and find a way to control Lewis Bush, number 48. Even if you have to give Cecil Thomas, number 69, some help on him with a back, you have to be able to protect your quarterback. And Lewis Bush just making things miserable for Frank Dulce.
Dulce at a time was 3 of 7 for 14 yards. Since then, 6 of 9 for 87. Stays in the pocket. That's Lusk. Tries to break off a tackle, and he does. They'll spot him out of bounds just across the 25. Rushing makes the tackle.
Greg Burns, number 27, the corner, missed the tackle. Everybody tries to go his side because Torrey Hunter, number 24, on the other side, such an outstanding corner. But Greg Burns has had a great year this year answering people trying to come on his side. There's Torrey Hunter, the excellent corner for Washington State.
Mike Rivordi had 100 plays in this ballgame. The stats people know that. Swings it out, and it's overthrown. Pierre Jones is the guy he wanted.
We may have another 20 before half with 1:33 to go on the clock, and both teams have their 3 timeouts left. That was not a good series for Utah's offense.
So Utah gets an opportunity, and they don't do anything with it. Let's see if it's enough time for Bledsoe, because Washington State should get this ball in very good field position. Young to kick it away. His longest 49. Good look at the coverage here. That's Hunter down deep. Cougars are coming after him. Gets his kick away, and this is a driving spiral. Calls for the fair catch, and he makes it at the 27. Here are his numbers tonight. Speaking of Bledsoe, 12 of 19, 242 and 1 touchdown.
Well, Mike Allman from Seattle Seahawks, Joe Mendez is here. Sid Hall, a pro scout for the Jets. They're all going to be interested to watch Drew Bledsoe with 1:25 on the clock now in the traditional pro-type quarterback, how he uses his timeouts and whether he can get his offensive team down the field and score some points before half.
Ball almost intercepted as his receiver Davis had slipped down. That was Odom who went diving across the top trying to make the interception.
They have such good cushions that Washington State has the hitch pass anytime they want to throw it. Drew Bledsoe just a little high on that pass to C.J. Davis.
I like C.J. He's got, as the coaches say, that knack to get open.
And he's a home run threat.
Yeah.
I mean, he can go deep and catch the deep ball.
Flag, he got back, and that pass thrown complete. Bobo just short, I believe, at the first down from where they're going to mark it.
They need to use their timeouts if they didn't make the first down.
Obendon is the man who was teetering at the line of scrimmage and went too far and then had to come back.
I think Washington State's going to get charged with a timeout here.
Yep, they are. They're going to use one of their timeouts to stop the clock with 1:09. By the way, the MetLife Blimp, one of the world's largest airships, 194 feet long and 67 feet high. And a good look at their pictures tonight. And as I mentioned, thank goodness the forecasters have been wrong so far. We haven't had any rain, and those people able to stay up there and give us the nice pictures like we have right here.
They're only 5 foot higher than we are here in this stadium.
You love heights, don't you?
Not necessarily.
21-14 our score. Washington State leading with 109. And that's Mac. That's Drew Bledsoe's father. And now he's wearing Washington State there on his sweatshirt, but he played at Washington. But of course, with his son doing what he's done there, he proudly wears a Cougar sweatshirt.
I wonder how many people bought cowboy hats here from Washington State and Utah. Looks like Mr. Bledsoe did while they're in Tucson.
Well, there's a hattery at the hotel, and I think a lot of people went to that. You did, of course. We'll go to the running play. Straight ahead, trying to pick up the first down, and they will with right fair.
Now they get the benefit of moving the chains and get to the line of scrimmage, Drew Bledsoe, and get a play off here before as soon as the referee puts the ball in play.
See Mike giving a signal on the far sideline of what he's looking for. Clock now runs. 101. Now 1 minute left until halftime. Pumps it. Going to go up on top. Once Davis and Utah thought that probably that's where they'd go, and they had double coverage. Although there is a flag at the 44. And
I think they're going to call pass interference on Utah because they bumped C.J. Davis when he ran the out and up. You know, they ran the hitch and the hitch and the hitch and the out, and then all of a sudden they ran the out and up.
Defensive holding is the call against Utah.
The takeoff route, when you run so many quick passes, there's the little out and up. Now watch the defender grab, try to reach his hand out on C.J. Davis. You couldn't see it very well there.
But you could see just enough, but his body got turned the same way it was as he turned around to look at the official. And it was just enough detainment to throw him off stride and off rhythm. With his speed, he might have run underneath it. So with the penalty, it moves it to just shy of the 50-yard line, and you see how much time is left. Worlds of time for this man. Blitz coming up the middle. Gets it away quickly and incomplete. As Clarence Williams, his tight end, was looking to see where he could run first and didn't hold on to the football, then got hit.
Clarence Williams is 6'2", 240 pounds. He may be the best blocking tight end in the Pac-10. Works very hard on catching the football, but he's an excellent blocker in this one-back, three-receiver offense that Washington State runs.
Well, you better be huge if you're going to play tight end there, because Clarence is 243. Carolyn is 244, who plays behind him, and Dustin Smith, who's the number 3, is 261. Draw play, right fair. Nice job by Tonga, who was there to wrap him up. And now it'll be third down.
The middle linebacker against the one-back set. He's responsible for the one-back. As you see, Mike Price is going to spend another timeout, which will take him to 1. But Peter Tonga, number 49, is responsible for the one-back, and he made the play on the draw.
So Washington State burns their second one. They still have 1 left. And for Utah, they still have all 3. So coming up at halftime, that's the Duracell Report, Sports Center update, and live a report as we will go to New Orleans and hear from our group down there in the preview of the Holiday Bowl. Tonight marks the first, actually our kickoff of Bowl Week here on ESPN, 6 games in 5 days. Numbers on Bledsoe in the first quarter: 8 of 10, 196 yards. Then in the second quarter, 5 of 11, 56 yards. What about Utah adjustments? Pattinson came in the game and did play that one series, but Utah has made some adjustments that have made it more difficult.
Well, I made the point earlier. I thought that when you defense, you're a little bit behind when you have that layoff so long. And Utah, and I was talking to Ron McBride, because of the weather, when they practiced in Salt Lake City, it was very cold and the fields were like concrete. And so your timing's off a little bit. And there were some big plays early in the game. And I think now they've measured the speed a little bit of Washington State and know that they can run with these receivers a little bit better than they thought they could early in the game.
Third down, and they need just about the 40.
Here comes another blitz by Utah.
It's caught by Bobo on the look in, and he's free. State. Wow.
Here's why Drew Bledsoe is going to be a great pro quarterback, because he saw the blitz coming, and he took Philip Bobo against the linebacker, Reggie Austin, number 24, in a complete mismatch. Said the pro guys were watching to see if he could get him in the end zone, and he left 31 seconds on the clock.
You think they may leave at halftime?
No, I think they're going to continue to watch and marvel.
Aaron Price kicks it home, and a disappointed Ron McBride as his team had battled back into this one. But watch this action right
here. Well, this is Philip Bobo against the linebacker. Now the tip-off is that's the free safety. Mark Swanson up. So now he knows the blitz is coming. There's the little throw. Reggie Austin slipped a little bit, but Philip Bobo is a mismatch against Reggie Austin. Another look, ground level. 6'5" quarterback, just a 3-4 step drop. There's the quick throw to Philip Bobo, and no one, because of man coverage, is going to catch Philip Bobo.
Well, let's see the reaction of Bledsoe. Folks, I think he could go ahead and call the engravers and start putting the name of the trophy, win, lose, or draw. He's already got 300 yards, 14 of 22, and 2 touchdowns. Wright Fair has the other two on the ground, 28-14.
Looks like it comes so easy to him also.
Look at his numbers. 4 catches, 182, and 2 touchdowns.
Tell you another thing, Ron, that they're not going to give up on the Utah sideline. They've come back from 21-0 behind. They got burnt there a little bit. Austin fell down, slipped a little bit against Philip Bobo, but you can expect this Utah team, Ron McBride, to make some adjustments at halftime. I look for a competitive game in the second half. Utah's not the type of team in the WAC. You're used to giving up a lot of points and scoring points.
Yeah, high-scoring games, you're right. You could see Ron McBride drop his head a little bit because of the momentum shift he thought he had, and Washington State just grabbed it right back. Keith Williams. Will take it across the 25, and clock shows 23 seconds until halftime.
They've been able to keep Frank Dosey from hitting a long pass, giving him only short passes because of the blitz, and his offensive line not able to handle the defensive front of Washington State.
Pierre Jones has the setback this time. Dulce sets, delivers it, and has it complete to Welch. At the 36, not enough for the first down.
They've got 3 timeouts. If they want to spend one here, but it doesn't look like they do. This may be the last play before half.
The 48, and across midfield is Sean Williams, but with that, the clock will run out, and it is halftime. So in the first half, it has been Washington State and Mr. Bledsoe, 28, one of the best.
The Weiser Lock Copper Bowl comes to you from Tucson, Arizona, where our title sponsor has its corporate headquarters. Tucson is a favorite destination for vacationers who appreciate its beautiful desert scenery. There's a lot to enjoy here, like the Arizona Sonora Desert Museum with its fascinating plants and animals. The Wild West movie location of Old Tucson. And Biosphere 2, offering a world of discovery. A world that offers a compelling combination of science and nature. A living, breathing exhibit of Earth's delicate ecosystems, all under one roof. Visitors can discover how 8 researchers gather information that may help preserve our limited natural resources and learn the story behind this futuristic ecological experiment. Located near Tucson, Biosphere 2 is Arizona's fastest growing visitor attraction. Tucson is just part of what makes Arizona such a great place to live, work, and play. The state offers a wonderful climate with virtually year-round sunshine, a variety of cultural pleasures, and recreational opportunities for every lifestyle. Not to mention the spectacular scenery that makes Arizona such a popular vacation site. It's said that Arizona flourishes because of the 6 C's. The first of these is the climate, which draws people from all over the world to vacation in the sun. Other C's include cattle, cotton, citrus, and computers, or high-tech industry. But the 6th C is the one that gave Arizona its nickname, the Copper State. Copper is an important part of Arizona's economy, providing jobs for more than 12,000 highly skilled, highly paid workers. More than 60% of the nation's newly mined copper comes from Arizona mines, which use just 1/4 of 1% of the land in the state. Arizona copper is an essential ingredient in many products used every day, like cars, electric lights, refrigerators, air conditioners, and computers. No wonder this important metal provided the inspiration for naming the Weiser Lock Copper Bowl. There's a lot to be proud of in Arizona. There's a lot to see, a lot to do, a lot to enjoy. The Weiser Lock Copper Bowl is just one of the state's many attractions. And today in Tucson, Arizona, it's the most exciting show.
Washington State 28-14. They jumped out on top 21-0. Looked as though we might have a rout in store for us, but that was not the case as the Utes came back. But the story in the first half has been Drew Bledsoe. Normally 300 yards is a heck of an outing for anybody for a ball game. Mike, he has that at halftime.
Well, he could end up with 600-plus yards tonight. He was in rhythm in the first quarter. Then they took a break and put the second-team quarterback in. But then just before half, he got back in the rhythm again. But he's an outstanding quarterback.
Let's show you one of the touchdowns that he threw in the first half. This one to Bobo.
Well, these are audibles. Drew Bledsoe to Philip Bobo. He saw man coverage. The free safety tipped it off. He was able to release the ball on the third step to Philip Bobo, and then it's just a race to the end zone for the touchdown. Now, on the other side of the ball, Frank Dulce did the very same thing. He was able to audible.
Impressive as they came back. He really was, and you have to give him a lot of credit.
Here you see him make the audible, and he's throwing the ball to Sean Williams for the touchdown, a little quick out, and then Sean Williams does the rest. Little juke move into the end zone for the score.
So let's take a look at the stats in the first half, and this is how things have gone between the two quarterbacks.
Well, I think it's obvious that Drew Bledsoe's got the better of it, but Drew Bledsoe's had better protection in the first half. Frank Dulce needs better protection to try to match those numbers in the second half.
Adrian Karsten is down on the sideline, and let's get this update from him of our 28-14 ball game. Adrian?
All right, Ron, with Coach McBride. Coach, every time you get some momentum going, it seems Bledsoe to Bobo is a combination that gets you.
You know, you got to, when you blitz, you got to be able to cover. You can't cover, you can't blitz. That's all there is to it.
Frank Dulce, however, doing a good job for you offensively, making his checkoffs.
I've got no complaints with the offense. The offense is doing a nice job. You know, we just got to make a couple more plays. Frank missed a read out there on a key situation. Hey, we just got to pick things up. Hey, but we can beat this team.
Honestly, Coach, is it a technique thing at this point? You just got to crank it up both sides of the ball.
We just got to crank it up. We got to make plays on defense, and we got to make plays on offense. Real simple.
All right, Coach, good luck second half. Ron, back to you, sir.
I like that, Mike. I mean, no excuses, no ifs, ands, or buts. He just said, we got to crank it up. That's one of the big things.
Well, you know the message that I'm sure he got across to his team, if you just listen to him, he said, we can beat this team. And that's the message he had to get across to his team at halftime. But who he has to beat is this guy we're looking at right now, number 11, Drew Bledsoe. He has to have the same kind of defensive effort that they did in the second quarter where they slowed him down.
The most impressive thing as the Utes come back on the field, I think, was with Washington State taking the ball over just before halftime. And the 2-minute drill that you talked about, and you said all the scouts would be on the edge of their seats to watch and see how he handled it. You know, not just the way the youngster plays, but his poise under pressure, I think, has been equally as impressive.
Well, I don't think there's any doubt. I think he's been the story in the first half. As you look at the first half statistics, Washington State, Utah's done a nice job shutting the running game down to 58 yards. Possession time near even. The penalties, Washington State hurt themselves with the 8 penalties against 3 for Utah. But the key and the difference has been two things. One, Drew Bledsoe, and the second thing is their defensive blitzing Frank Dulce, and Utah not able to handle it in the first half.
Like the other thing we saw in the second quarter by Utah, they started mixing up and giving some max protection to Dulce at quarterback. You think it's something else they talked a lot about at halftime?
I think they have to disguise what they're doing on offense, but they have to protect Frank Dulce. You're right. They may have to bring an extra back in to help Cecil Thomas with Lewis Bush. Lewis Bush has just been in the backfield, number 48 for Washington State, and they just have to control him a little bit better.
So our score 28-14. If you have just joined us here in Tucson, 21-0. Washington State had gone on top, and at that point, it was a little worrisome to see what was happening on the field.
Momentum could switch, and it sure switched in this ball game in the first half a couple different times, but I've always felt as a coach the first 5 minutes of the third quarter usually determines who's going to get the edge and win the football game. And if you're on offense the first series, you want to take it right down the field. If you're on defense, you want to try to throw them a punch and try to get the ball back in the hands of your quarterback.
Here comes the kickoff. You got to look at Lusk and Williams. Just a moment ago, this will be Lusk at the 9-yard line. Take a little stagger step and then got staggered just before he got to the 20-yard line. That's good coverage. And let's go down to Adrian Karsten.
A couple of adjustments here now. Utah defensively is going to be showing a lot more movement up front. Now, Washington State and Bledsoe expect this, Ron. What they're going to do is go with some silent count stuff and try and catch Utah in their stunt and try and make a lot more yards running the ball here in the second half.
Doesn't surprise me that they try to use up a little more clock, probably, Mike.
Now let's see the adjustments Utah's made on offense.
Anderson in motion. This time, see, they roll the pocket. And he has the man open, and he just missed him. Pulled the lineman, rolled the pocket to give him a little more time, and missed on that pass.
Well, on first down is a good play action down because the play action will hold the rush. And then to bring Frank Dulce out to the right side, he's a right arm quarterback throwing on the run to the right side. He just overthrew the ball to Greg Hooks.
Dulce, senior, wants to go to med school, wants to become a doctor. See the blitz. Washington State appeared to be offside as the pass is thrown incomplete at the 23.
I'll tell you another thing that worries you as a coach when you have a 25-minute halftime and you take so long because of the bowl game of trying to get back out on the field and get going again, you know, get back in motion.
Get the blood flowing.
Yeah,
again.
Offense and defense. Utah in that first two plays looked a little lethargic.
So they get the 5 yards. It'll be second down, and now the line to make still the 28.
Come right back to the play action passing now on first down. It's wide open.
Go with the running play. Williams hit, backed up. He's just going to have to go down. He will lose yardage at the 15, and it's Ron Childs who led the attack. Bush is the man who got the push upfield.
Mike Zimmer, the defensive coordinator, was talking about Ron Childs the other day, and he said he was a running back on the scout team, and one day he ran the ball and got in a fight with all 11 of the starting defensive football team. Just fought them all. He said he's a top football player, and they moved him to linebacker, and he really has responded. He's just an aggressive linebacker.
We call him really an emotional leader. 95 tackles on the year coming into this ball game. Pass over the middle, incomplete, and Lusk had not turned around.
Not a good series for Utah. They're not even close on that series.
Young to punt. Torrey Hunter will be back deep. You see the numbers on Young. 37-yard average in the first half. 28-14, Washington State leads. Early going third quarter. Washington State with a return on. Wobbly kick. Gets it away from Hunter, though, and they'll wind up with good yardage on this one as it goes out of bounds. It's just across the 35-yard line. 51 yards in the punt. I'll start your New Year's Day bowling viewing with a special edition of College Game Day by previewing all the day's bowl action, including the Alabama-Miami battle for #1. That's at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Then stay tuned for Game Day as Boston College Eagles take on Tennessee in the Hall of Fame Bowl beginning at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. That's New Year's Day right here on ESPN. Then he gets a pretty good shot as he crosses the 35 to the 37. And Tonga from the middle linebacking spot is there to make the hit on him.
To go 8-3 in the Pac-10 this year, you have to be a good football team because that was a good conference. We saw we had some good games in that conference this year that we televised, get a chance to see some teams practice. It was a very solid league. And Mike Price, the head coach of Washington State. Now, it's interesting. I'll follow up on him after the next play.
Drop pass, caught and complete at the 45-yard line. Pointer was just waiting to get clobbered as he caught the ball. Put a head down and went forward inside the 45. It's good for 18.
Well, he's our big play receiver, Darren Pointer, 5'11", 182 pounds. Just ran a quick post route, and the ball was right on the money.
As I said, Pointer just waiting to get wiped out, and it didn't happen. He kind of ducked underneath the tackle, which was high. It's Davis in motion out of your screen, and on the running play, right fair falls down as he tries to make the cut. Tonga was stepping right up into the hole and lost his footing.
Ron, Mike Price, we were talking about him a couple plays ago, but he's got 1 year left on his contract at Washington State. As you see him walking there, he's done a great job with this program. He's well liked. The players respect him. What Washington State needs to do is give him a long-term contract because timing's right for Washington State right now. They have a chance to make an impact in the Pac-10, but they have to keep Mike Price.
Clock runs about to go under 12 minutes in the third. Play action by Bledsoe. He's going to go on top again, and he's got Bobo down there. In fact, he's got a couple of people. Sexsnyder also was open. Both had gotten behind, and it was overthrown.
Well, what that play does is send a message, first of all, that they had two receivers. You're right, Ron. Two running scot-free in the end zone. Now watch the cushion on this next play. They'll be able to throw underneath the defensive backs on 3rd and 11 now because of the threat of the long ball.
Third down on the line to make. They got to go just inside the 35.
I don't care what happens in this game. Fred Whittingham has done a great job with his defense. The way he's matched up tonight of slowing down Drew Bledsoe in the second quarter. He needs the same kind of effort here in the second half.
Bledsoe has it complete right fair. Just got him out of the backfield. Utah got caught in a situation where they only rushed forward. If you're not going to put pressure on him, he'll do that to you all night, I think.
Ron, what happened, too, on the play was they were shifting Sean Bay right fair, the running back. They shifted him out as a wide receiver. And what Utah had to do was put Darren Castaigne, number 41, a linebacker on him. So they really had a mismatch on that. Here's where you know that they have a lot of respect for their offense and their defense because they're going to go for it here on 4th and 4.
As I mentioned, the line to make just inside the 35. 4th down. Let's see.
It's got all the makings of a play-action pass. Now they're going to give it to Schonberg.
Right there, and I believe with that second effort, I don't know. Close. This could be real close.
I think they stopped him.
The Utes think they did.
Mike Price doesn't like the spot, because I haven't seen the spot yet. No, they're not even measuring. They're giving it right away. Well, Mike Price is hot. He knows the price is not right on that call. He did not like the spot on this, Ron. They went to the running play, pulled out Bob Garman, number 74, to lead. Let's see if we think he made it. See the red official coming in from the side has got the spot, and he's spotting him clearly short. Big play, Utah defense.
Well, let's see if the Utes can do something with that. They're down 28-14 here in the third. The draw play.
Trying to slow the rush down.
Yep, that's Pierre Jones. Ray Hall down at the bottom of the stack. Pierre's a junior out of San Diego, 5'8", 180. I mentioned back at the beginning of the telecast, he rushed for 715 yards.
Ron McBride, he's tilted now. He's leaning over. He's trying to get some action for his Utah offense. Comes a blitz.
He goes up on top. And Lust, I think he lost the ball in the lights. He almost stopped running. And he had a step.
Couldn't find it. And the reason he couldn't find it, he was jammed by the defensive back. John Rushing, number 10, jammed him. And then when he jammed him and he came off of the jam, he couldn't find the football. We're going to see the receiver come off the ball, and he's going to get jammed right here. There's the jam, and then when he threw him off his route a little bit, now when he turned his head around, he just couldn't pick up the football. He had a big play, and Frank Dulce says, "My gosh."
Third down, and they need
or
the
something
45.
like that, Ron.
It was close. Over the middle, has it complete for the first down. Sean Williams at the 45-yard line. Kenders made the hit on it.
I talked, Ron, about Frank Dulce early. He's a tough competitor. I'm telling you, he's getting hit on every play, and he's getting the ball off. He's got such a pass rush on him from Andre Patterson's defensive line.
And played good for 18 yards. Big third down conversion for Utah. Pops it outside. Jones finally hit out of bounds, and there is a marker down back at the 41-yard line. Boy, he bounced it outside. Something else we talked about. They've got some speed at running back and wide receiver. They get the play out there. That's 24 yards in the running play, but they're coming back, and it's going to be holding against Utah.
Well, he got to the corner pretty easily, so it probably was on the tight end on the outside. Or Joe Welsh, number 87, the wide receiver, the way he's reacting, probably called on him. But you're right, Ron. Pierre Jones. Quicks.
Holding. Offense. 10-yard penalty. Still first down.
As a coach, they always come over and give you the number of the hold. A lot of times they'll come over and say, "We didn't get the number."
I think they had that one. That ball is caught, and he breaks off the tackle. That's Brooks. And Mikey is within a yard of picking up the first down.
Torrey Hunter again, number 24, making the tackle, and Greg Hooks.
Hunter's a good, solid football player.
Always talking on the field. Lines up, talks the whole game.
See the numbers in Dulce so far, the senior out of Culver City, California. Well, he slipped there. He's not going to get back to the line of scrimmage. Lurcher was there to cover him up, but it's now going to be a third down.
He missed the handoff, Ron. He missed the handoff to the dive back. He was going to run a little counter dive. Just got out there a little slow and missed the handoff, so he just kept it on his own. With Drew Bledsoe on the sideline, I think I'd take 2 plays here to get this first down.
I do too. Look at that, Utah 1 of 8, and that one they got just a moment ago. Third down conversion.
They're going to get blitzed again.
And they go with the running play, and he's not going to have it. Keith Williams had an opening, and all of a sudden he just stopped as McClanahan stepped up into the hole. You can see 41 really whacking him.
But the one back set has a fault. It's on short yardage. You don't have a lead blocker for the runner. And Keith Williams had no one to lead block on Anthony McClanahan, number 41, who made the tackle. You need a lead blocker on those short yardage situations.
You run it or play action?
I'm going to run it again here. To the lead blocker. And here's your lead blocker in motion.
That's where they go, and he does not have it. Boy, that is a fine defensive job by Washington State. Whitmire is the first man who comes across and makes the hit.
It came from the backside, but what really hurt the offensive line is penetration.
So there's a timeout on the field. 9 minutes and 10 seconds left in the third as you take one more look.
Never got a chance. Never got started.
So we'll take a break. Washington State 28-14 and a very big. The Weiser Lock Copper Bowl, presented by Duracell, is brought to you in part by Thrifty Car Rental. For worldwide reservations, call 1-800-4CARS. And by Classic Pickles, the sandwich improvement you can do yourself. Well, it's a good look at the offense of Utah on the sidelines, and they know what kind of opportunity that they just let get by them as they're down by 14 points in the third. Bledsoe gets outside, reestablishes, throws it intercepted. Crawford just stepped right in front.
Bad decision by Drew Bledsoe. Really had good pass protection. That's because Utah's in heavy coverage, but now he starts to roll, and he's trying to get the ball over the outstretched arms of number 15, Cedric Crawford, but it wasn't even close. Now Utah needs to make something happen, Ron. You get a turnover like this.
Can't let another good opportunity get by. You're right.
Threw off his back foot on that last play, and if he has a fault, that's the fault he has. Because of the strength of his arm, a lot of times he'll throw off the back foot.
Dolce on first down. Gonna go downtown. Lusk has got it for the touchdown. Unbelievable. He took it away from him.
It's going to be interesting, this call. Whether they're going to call it offensive or defensive interference.
Well, the offensive Utah has stayed on the field. Now here comes the call. Pass interference, Washington State. Count the touchdown.
Well, Ron, you liked Henry Lusk from the day you arrived here at 230 pounds. I may make you a talent scout somewhere. He used his body well on this play.
Trying to make it a 7-point ball game.
The turnover by Drew Bledsoe on the pass. What a big play. They came back with a home run ball. That's the kind of call I like. After a turnover, 50-yard line, go downtown with it.
You're exactly right. Jurgensen tries to make it 21 points for Utah. Gets a good one, and it is blocked and no good. Wow, how big is that?
It forces you to a 2-point play the next time you score. Watch Henry Lusk, number 9. Frank Dolce knows he's got man-for-man coverage, avoids the sack, just puts some air under the football. But the key is the end of this play. Henry Lusk just uses his 6'1", 230-pound body against a 6', 180-pound Mobley, number 8, to make the play. Here's Henry Lusk on a streak. He's against Mobley, number 8. Now watch him use his body. He just kind of shields him with the arm a little bit, and now gets gets his body in there, and then steals the football. Great catch by Henry Lusk.
Takes it in for the touchdown, and it is 28-20. Torrey Hunter, we are told, got the block of the extra point. Hunter is another one that has had an outstanding ball game, and that one could be huge before the night's over, huh?
Well, it forces you into a two-point play after the next score. Now there's going to be a penalty on the kickoff. Now, Ron, here's what if I was back in coaching, if I ever was in this situation to have the ball on the 50-yard line, if I'm going to onside kick, now's the time. Rather than kicking it out of the stadium and showing the kicker's leg, you onside kick here, the worst you're going to be off is in the 40, 35-yard range, or pooch the kick and try to force them to fair catch it. At least try to get it down inside to 20. But I don't like kicking the ball out of the end zone here. I wouldn't do it again. I'd practice this where I'm going to use my onside kick or pooch kick here by my kickoff man.
I agree with you. In fact, the pooch kick, and you kick it away from the deep man, that's a lot of distance to get in a hurry.
And if they make a mistake, you got a chance at the football.
Kicks it away from him, but it's going to go into the end zone. Kicked it a little too hard. Well, let's see if Bledsoe now can right himself after the interception, and then one play, and Utah comes back and scores. Is how much new life the Utah defense has after that quick score. They will give him completion at the 26, C.J. Davis.
Because of the respect and the speed of the receivers for Washington State, they've got to hitch almost every time they want to throw it.
Well, that's the new single-season record, 3,100. 3,100 yards. And Jack Thompson, the man that we had on at the very beginning of the telecast, that's his record that was just broken. The throwing some more. Right there, banged hard at the line of scrimmage. And now here comes a late flag. Where did that come from?
It's over on the bench.
It looked like it came from the bench area. Tonga, it makes the tackle, and let's get the call. Illegal procedure. Again, Mike, what happened is, I think the line judge threw it. He threw it back over his head. It went back into the Washington State bench, and one of the kids threw it back. Well, that's the reason it came from over there.
Not only a bad thing when they throw the flag on you, but they hit you with them. We're talking about Jack Thompson. I was at Cincinnati, at the University of Cincinnati. He was with the Bengals, and never have I met a finer gentleman or a finer representative of the school, Washington State, or the Cincinnati Bengals, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, than Jack Thompson. And I know he's proud for Drew Bledsoe.
Yeah, Jack's really, you're right, he's a good one. It's right there in motion, it's third down. They need the 30-yard line. Pressure is on, gets it away, incomplete, and finally they got pressure on Bledsoe. This time, Chaders is the man after him, and they will have to punt it away to Utah.
Ron, I give all the credit to Freddie Whittingham, the defensive coordinator, of scheming the defense to try to get some people free. Drew Bledsoe hasn't had the type of pressure on him that Frank Dulce has. But here you see, finally they made him rush the throw with Dave Chaders, number 47, the defensive tackle, getting through free.
Johnston to punt, and it's Sean Williams who is back deep. Drive kick, very returnable. He's coming to the open side of the field and will tightrope and go down at the 49-yard line. Actually never went down, but out of bounds. So we'll take a break. 28-20 our new scores. 7:45 left. The back of Shaw, one of the defensive players, standing on the sideline. And Mike, they feel it. Now they've made a big stop right here. 2 stops in a row. They want to see the offense equal what they've done.
Little counterplay. Oh, what a stick at the line of scrimmage. Anderson, as soon as he got the football, got hit by Anthony McClanahan, and he had it red all the way.
4-3 middle linebacker Anthony McClanahan. Coaches feel he's as good as Marvin Jones. When you talk to Mike Zimmer and the defensive staff, they say, hey, there's no better. He's as good as Marvin Jones. He's 4.5 in the 40. And the key to him is he avoids blockers. Just does a great job in that middle linebacker spot.
Over the middle, has it complete, looks for some place to run, does hooks, and there is nothing there. Going to be a 3rd down and long. McClanahan again. And let's get an update from Adrian Karsten.
Ron, I'm looking over the shoulders of the Utah offensive coaches here. Now, if I'm reading this right, here's the situation. In this passing situation on this play, when you see a man-to-man coverage, that's their primary receiver. If he's going to be open and they figure that's the man they can beat in the defensive backfield of Washington State, that's the one they're going for.
Well, if they get single coverage with Welch, who's at the top of the screen, he is a burner as well. He doesn't play as much, but buddy, he can run. Dumps it out and got a man wide open. That's Jones, and he will be tackled at the 31-yard line. Somebody blew a coverage there.
Sometimes when you give your quarterback time to throw, and he had time on this play. Just watch Frank Dulce here. Look the field. Just eye everything out. Then the back is going to come out of the backfield late. Has time. Looks to the left. Looks off. And then is able to come back to the backside to find Pierre Jones, number 30. Todd Jensen makes the play.
If Sean Williams had known that Jensen was coming up behind and had thrown the block, he might have scored the touchdown. Was doomed from the beginning. The guards were already pulling before the ball was snapped.
Ron, when you have a bowl game and you have since November 21st to prepare, they have all 11 game films, and I'm talking to the offensive coaches at Utah. They said they went back and looked and took little pieces of film. Some of the things they're running offensively tonight, they took off Stanford and Bill Walsh and what they did against Washington State. They took all the films, took a little bit of each film, and then put a game plan together tonight against Washington State and added some things from Stanford and some other schools.
28-20 our score. Washington State, we've just gone under 6 minutes in the 3rd. Washington State, here they come in the blitz, and in the running play, they break it. Williams is free. Inside the 10, it's 1st and goal, Utah. Boy, they caught him with the right call at the right time.
Well, they had the blitz, and when you can pop a back like Keith Williams through the blitz, all of a sudden you're going to see him pop out of here. Just with quick speed to the left side, you see the blitz coming. The linebacker underran it. Anthony McClanahan just missed the play, and Keith Williams with a good run up the middle. That'll keep you honest on blitzing situations.
1st down and goal. The ball is just outside the 8-yard line.
They like to fade down here to the inside receiver.
But they go with Pierre Jones in the running play right up the middle, and he will score.
Now they have to go to Ron because of the blocked extra point. You see the coaches keeping the kicking team off to the side. Both these running backs, Keith Williams and Pierre Jones, have some jets.
They'll go for 2. The ball shaded just toward the left hash mark.
Ron, they're going to shift out of here to try to confuse Washington State because they play man coverage. You try to get somebody free to the right side. Sprint out to the right.
Pressure was on, and they got a man wide open. They have the 2-point Scott Murray. And the reason he's wide open, they never throw to their tight end. They've only completed 8 passes all year to their tight end.
Well, the key was that they shifted and they confused Washington State. Rolled out to the right and threw back to the left side. Because of the man coverage and the shift, it happened so quick that they just lost sight of that receiver.
So let's take a break. 5
5:25 left in the third. Can you believe it? We are. Hey, I was so comfortable about 2 hours ago. At the 21-point lead, and all of a sudden, pow. This man's football team came back and tied him up. It's Davis in motion to the bottom of your screen, but they go with right there, and he's banged hard at the line of scrimmage by Peter Tonga. That should be enough for the first down, though, from where they had spotted it.
There's Fred Whittingham, the defensive coordinator. From 1973 to 81, he was a defensive coordinator at BYU. He played linebacker in the pros with the Rams, the Cowboys, the Eagles, the Saints, and he gives that same kind of linebacker style of coaching.
It's Tonga he's talking to, number 49. Senior out of Salt Lake. Tonga's really undersized. Well, they're not going to handle it. Really undersized, and Mike, they have to move him around a lot. At 213 pounds, they got to hide him behind tackles and everybody else they can, don't they?
Well, more people are playing smaller linebackers that can run in blitz and play man coverage.
Look at Tonga as he calls the signals. And of course, the coaches that really have the luxury, like Bobby Bowden at Florida State, to have a linebacker who weighs 235 to 240 who can run, and like Washington State's middle linebacker in McClanahan, who's about 225, who runs well.
Quarterback sneak as soon as an umpire gets out of the way. Well, that can't be a play because the umpire was holding the play.
He never released it. You're right. I wouldn't want to be an umpire. You see so many times, like in the touchdown run a minute ago, where he has to go spinning out of the way, passes over the middle. That's a tough position to have to call.
Ball, never marked, ready for play, no play.
Of all the officials, though, he's the one that can kill you if you're a coach.
That's right, because he's the one that calls offensive holding.
Yeah, he's the tough one. He's lucky he didn't make the tackle on Drew Bledsoe on that last play, because he was going to quarterback sneak right over him, whether he was going to stand there or not. I think it's going to still be a quarterback sneak, Ron.
Well, there was movement by Washington State and movement by Utah.
Let's go. Conrad Hemiskern's going to get the call here.
Hemiskern is a Canadian player out of British Columbia, West Vancouver.
Dead ball. False start. Offense.
Here's 77 right here. Now we'll see if he moves to draw the. There it is. Good call by the official. Luther Ellis, number 83, comes right across the line of scrimmage, and that's what he's taught. As soon as you see movement, Luther, hit him. Luther's fired up.
He's asking for the crowd to get in this one. Third down, and they need the 42. Quick pass. He's caught. What a grab by C.J. Davis. We talked just before halftime about he has the knack of getting open and also catching the football most anywhere.
He's the go-to guy. Ball was thrown high. He reached up and made the catch against Derek Oldham, number 18. Look at him get his hands up there. Wow. There's some mustard on that ball, too.
Mike, and the thing about it is, you say, okay, it's a catch. He made a nice grab. But with the momentum that Utah has grabbed here, if that pass is incomplete and you have to punt to him, who knows what happens for the Utes? I mean, to me, it's an awfully big play that you have to put an asterisk by.
Game of inches, Ron.
Right fair, the only setback this time. 3 wide receivers to the open side. Flag is down deep over the middle, and that is dropped. Should have been intercepted by Derek Odom. Derek can't believe it.
There's going to be a holding call back here, but Derek Odom had an interception that would have changed this football. Dropped the interception, but they'll still pick up the hold.
And this tells you one thing. There were no holding calls in that first. Well, I guess we did have one, but it means that Utah is causing that offensive front of Washington State some concern, which they didn't really in the first 30.
They're moving around a little bit more on defense. Adrian talked about it at halftime. That was a strategy to move around a little bit more on defense.
12 penalties against Washington State.
That's a concern when you have a long layoff.
Delivers it complete across the 45 and out of bounds at the 50 is Pointer, and now you see that flag come in there.
What makes that play, Ron, is the fact that the gun that Drew Bledsoe has on the quick hitch, when you're throwing from the middle of the field all the way over past the numbers, that's a long throw for a college quarterback, and he just got so much on it. It gets out there so quick.
Unintentional face mask, defense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
Here's after the catch. You're going to see the face mask call on Kareem Leary, number 40, 5-yard penalty. Well, you expect the great ones to accept the challenge, and Drew Bledsoe's accepting the challenge right now. The Utah defense with a tie score, 28-28.
4:34 left in this third quarter. Well, there's that reverse that they ran early. Bobo starts to slide, not quite enough for the first down, but it's a gain of around 8. Reggie Alston is there to finally make the stop. That's the play that they ran on the opening sequence. Fake it to right fair and get Bobo coming around. Yeah, if you left us for a bit, Mike said it right. 28-28 is our score, and we are about to go under 4 minutes in the third quarter. Bledsoe drills this one. Incomplete, and Pointer that time fought it. Just like Lusk did earlier in the ball game, where he was looking to see where he was going to run with it before he caught it.
Ron, it's interesting how players get to school. As Robbie Tobeck, the center, who we're going to watch block here, number 66, was a high school player in Tarpon Springs, Florida, and he was in a pickup basketball game one night with Jack Thompson and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They were short a guy, so they got him to play, and he didn't have film from his football team, so Jack filmed him dunking the basketball, sent it to Dennis Erickson, who was at Washington State, and they turned him down. He went to Liberty University, then he got him to junior college, and finally got him to his alma mater.
Long way there, but he made it. Ball is fumbled, it's loose, and Utah recovers at the 35 of Swanson.
You see the excitement on the sideline from Ron McBride. I mean, that's the excitement he's instilled in his program, in his kids. I still go back to that interview that Adrian did in halftime, and he said, we can beat this team. And that's the thing that he sold his team on at halftime. He is an excitable guy. He's a player's coach. I tell you, they like playing for him.
So the ball at the 35-yard line. That's the third turnover in the ball game. 2 fumbles and 1 interception committed by Washington State. Dorsey, good protection. Ball is delivered, and I'm not so sure he didn't just throw that one away. There was not much there as Bush again was coming with some heavy pressure.
You were with me yesterday when Dan Henson was talking about Frank Dorsey. He came from California, and he said in spring practice one day it started snowing, and he said Frank Dorsey just started looking up at the sky. He'd never seen snow before, and he said just blew his mind.
Well, it was a spring game. Yeah. He said he had a horrible game because he kept standing there staring into the sky. I've never seen that stuff.
Never seen snow, and he's not going to see the rain you predicted tonight either.
No, I didn't predict it. The weather guy did. Running play. A little slow to get developed in that very quick pursuit defense by Washington State, led by Mobley, there to hit Williams and make the play.
Do you think the weatherman you talked to was Willard Scott's relative?
Now you're going to get personal, huh?
No, I like Willard. If Willard says it's going to rain, usually rains. There's other guys that say it's going to rain, doesn't rain.
Williams, 11 carries, 115 yards, and has a touchdown. Third down, and they need the 45. Pressure. Dolce runs away from it. Now throws long. And knocked down as Lusk has to turn into a defensive back to knock it away from Mobley.
Well, Frank Dolce looks to me like he's hurt down there. He got really hit. He was outstretched when he threw the football.
Patterson and Bush were the ones coming with the pressure, and you can see the concern on the near sideline for Dolce.
Well, Lewis Bush has used such a quick move to get around the offensive lineman. He was right in on Frank Dolce right from the start. Well, you're vulnerable when you're outstretched throwing that football. You're so vulnerable to a hit. Frank Dolce, you see the pressure from Lewis Bush coming from the inside, chasing him now. Dwayne Patterson, number 86, is going to come. You see how you're outstretched? And there's the helmet on the elbow. Ron Childs, number 31. Looks like you hit him right on the elbow, Ron.
That's a little late, Mike. That ball had been delivered in a full count.
I agree with you.
So let's take a timeout. 2:52 left in the third. Tied at 28. We'll be right back. And appears to be in pretty good shape now. That was not the situation a moment ago. So Young will punt it away for Utah. And it's Torrey Hunter back in a deep single safety for the Cougars. Turn on high wobbly spiral, and Hunter will return it from the 23. There is a flag down. That's a 41-yard punt. As soon as we find out what the flag is about, we'll show you in the replay what happened to Dolce on that play.
The umpire may have made this call, and if you get the call of the umpire, usually on this play it's holding in the punt receiving team.
Tied at 28. That's our score. 2:41 left in the third quarter. Washington State had led 21-0, and then Utah came back.
Holding on a receiving team. 10-yard penalty. First down.
Umpire's getting busy with those holding calls. Watch now Frank Dolce, but watch the rush of Lewis Bush. He's the one who really creates havoc on this play from the outside, number 48.
Play for a couple, and let's go down to Adrian Karsten and get an injury update. Adrian?
Ron, collective sigh of relief went up on the Utah bench here when we found out that Dolce just had the wind knocked out of him, and actually a wink of his eye and twist of his head soon gave the bench here that they had nothing to dread, so he should be back in shortly.
What do you expect out of a guy that's going to be a doctor? He knows what's wrong with him. Nothing.
Good self-analysis then. We're about to go under 2 minutes in the third quarter.
Thanks.
Going to go on top, looking for Davis, and he's got it inside the 35 at the 31. Swanson had the cover, but not very well.
Ron, that was about 60 yards in the air, that pass, and it was right on the money to C.J. Davis, and it was all arm that he threw it with.
It's a 54-yard completion.
Look from where he sets. When he throws this football, this is all arm because you see his left foot, he was stepping away from the target. So this was all arm that he threw this football. Derek Odom on coverage. He's in pretty good shape. This ball just can't be thrown any better. C.J. Davis just adjusts to the football. Mark that one down as a big play with 1:46 in the third quarter.
Well, that's for sure. Davis, we commented several times, has got that knack of getting open. Whistles and flags down at the line of scrimmage. Bledsoe now over 400 yards in the ball game. 407 for him.
It may be his last college football game.
I hope not, but you're probably right.
Game. Offense.
Penalty against Washington State. (20 of 32 for 407, 2 touchdowns and 1 interception. Smelled it out, and just as soon as it's thrown, Tonga's right there to make the tackle. He looks around, points, and says no or not.
That's one where you try to throw that in the ground and throw it away and not take the loss that you take when Peter Tonga makes the tackle, number 49.
So they lose more yardage, and now it's going to be a second down. The ball at the 40, and they need it down to the 21-yard line for the first down. We've gone under 1 minute to play third quarter.
Well, let's keep our eye on C.J. Davis again, number 1, and number 9, Darren Pointer.
Bledsoe gets it away, a little high, incomplete. Chuck Snyder's who he wanted, and Kareem Leary had the cover on him.
Ron, I'll tell you who was wide open on that play was Clarence Williams, number 98, the tight end. I've looked now. If I was upstairs scouting or coaching, and you're talking back and forth, I'm sure the coach up here for Washington State in the booth is going to say, hey, Clarence Williams was wide open on that play. You see, he went back to Drew Bledsoe. I mean, there was no one on him. They'll come back to that formation. Of course, Clarence Williams is going off the field now.
That announcement was to tell the Utah team to get back. They were a little close on the field as they have come back to tie this football game. That bench has been very active, but they keep inching a little closer and a little closer. Third down.
Coming back to the same formation. Maybe they'll go to tight end here.
That's Bobo. Cuts back in against the grain. Oh, good heavens, what a hit. Wow. Hestain just almost took his shoulder pads off. Got a... Watch this one full speed, Mike. All right, Bobo makes the catch. Now, he's going to come back into the middle of the field. And there's a 41 waiting right there. Woo.
Ron, just a little bit of coming back against the grain. May have cost him a field goal attempt.
That is the end of the third quarter. So let's take a timeout as we head to the final 15 minutes of this Weiser-Lock Copper Bowl. 28 Washington State, 28 Utah. It's 28 apiece. We have 15 minutes left to play. Just short of 900 total yards so far in this ball game. We've had 67 passes, 41 completions, 653 yards through the air. Johnson punt. He's going to kick this one away. Hits at the 1 and then takes a Utah bounce.
It's a lost art, Ron. The punting of kicking the ball to the corner of the end zone just seems like it's a dying art.
Adrian Karsten, what do you have for us?
Ron, I got the Utes offense running onto the field, and I'll tell you, these guys look fresh. I just came from the Cougar side of the field. Offensively and defensively, those guys are sucking wind. Now, physical conditioning is going to make a difference, definitely here in the fourth quarter, I think, with both these teams.
Okay, we will see, Adrian. I know this, that the Utah side of the field, after coming back from a 21-0 deficit, there is a lot of exuberance, but I guess I would too if I had come back against a team as good as Washington State. And there's a big opening in the running play that almost goes for 10 yards with Pierre Jones. Childs has to put the stop on him just shy of the 30-yard line.
Do they look quick to you, Pierre Jones and Keith Williams?
That's one of the things I talked about, and you and I said after going to the practice field on Sunday. Once you get the ball to them, I mean, Welch is the guy I was talking about that they don't get the ball to a lot, but he's a flyer. Yeah. Hooks and Williams, Lusk can run, Williams and Jones.
Well, you see the rushing yards, Utah with a real big advantage against Washington State.
running play. They almost collided. Pierre Jones. And after the play, away from the screen, Dulce clapped his hands as if to say he was upset with himself. He's kind of got in the way of the running play there, slowed it down.
He bumped him. I'm just thinking of the speed factor, and I know I talked to Ron McBride, and he said when you practice Salt Lake City, they didn't have an indoor facility, and it was like practicing on concrete, so maybe the feel of the grass is just the speediness of the running backs has been very impressive for Utah.
Third down, straight ahead, Dulce, and the quarterback sneak.
That's an interesting quarterback sneak. You know what that is? No one moves except the center and the quarterback.
That's right.
The center snaps the ball. The other linemen don't move. That way, the defensive line, watch this. This is kind of interesting. The guards and tackles, see, they don't move. The guards and tackles, just the center and the quarterback. So really, you catch the defense at a little bit of a disadvantage there. You're supposed to go on ball movement, but if a statue's across from you, you just don't move. Hey, pretty good play.
What a wordsmith, Guthrie. Statue? All of that.
That's impressive. That's an impressive play.
We're going to do a little reverse here. Sean Williams, and he slips down trying to make the cut. Let me say this about the grounds people here at Tucson. You cannot imagine how much rain has fallen in the last few days, and it's dry tonight. But we have had some slips, but they still have done a marvelous job with this field. The conditions just could have been miserable. Adrian Karsten, let's get another update from you.
Ron, you're right. The conditions could have been miserable. I'm in the very same spot I was earlier on. I'll tell you more about the turf right after this play.
Adrian's using some big words, too. Miserable.
Pressure gets it away. That's going to be a grounding.
Should be.
And nobody is around. There's not a white jersey for.
Got away with one here.
It's Brian Ford who was applying pressure. I think Dulce knows that he got away with one.
Now, there's no receiver. You see the receiver over the middle, Henry Les. But now you look for a receiver. The closest receiver to that ball is Coach Ron McBride and Adrian Karsten.
Neither would have caught it. Third down, and the line to make is the 40. Here comes the flag as Dulce. Boy, he gets tagged. 18, Todd Jensen. From where that flag, well, we'll just wait and see. But it was thrown at the line of scrimmage.
Well, your decision here is whether you want to turn it down if it is a hold.
It is going to be a hold against Utah.
Because they didn't make the first down. It's fourth down. They have to punt. I think you have to turn this one down. Forcing the punt anyway. Good call by Mike Price.
So Steve Young will come on to kick it away. And we'll see if it's going to be Torrey Hunter. Yep, it will be.
The only thing that could hurt you here, Ron, is if you're over-aggressive on the punt block team, jump offside, because it is less than 5 yards. So you have to be very cautious of that.
28-28, 12 and a half left in the ball game. Kick this one. Hunter's going to have to retreat and fall down at the 3-yard line. Good heavens. 52 yards in the punt. Let's take a break. 12-19 left home of the Weiser-Lock Copper Bowl. Mike, the wind has not been a factor all night, but all of a sudden it's beginning to blow, and I really think helped that kick a little bit.
Well, it did, and also it may hurt Drew Bledsoe throwing into the wind. We'll get a picture of the flag here before long to show you the wind here at the stadium now.
Davis in motion, but they'll go straight ahead with the running play, and right there bounces it outside. Finally stopped up close to the 20-yard line. Well, you talk about a play where you want to get away from your own end zone. How big is that one?
Well, they make you miss tackles, and that's the key to Chambé right fair.
15. ran it back to the short side of the field. They had formation to the open side. There's the flag right there, and it is Old Glory beginning to wave a little bit. And it really has been very still tonight.
Well, it's in the face of Drew Bledsoe.
Tell you, as strong as his arm is,
doesn't matter.
Make any difference, so do you?
It's like a little breeze into a cannon.
That play is going to be whistled down as ball wasn't snapped as everybody else started to move, so they'll have to take a walk back. And Adrian, let's get a report from you on the elements.
Ron, you're talking about that wind. That actually may help to dry out the field. Now, we've been talking tonight about how well this field holds up under all the moisture, but imagine a sponge and how saturated a sponge gets. It just won't hold any more water. Now, if you look at Hunter, combination of his momentum and the fact that this end of the field in this end zone where I'm standing now, same place where he fielded the ball, has really become saturated and is almost like oozing up the water now in the end zone. Both receivers for the Utah Utes and for the Cougars have been complaining about the footing out here.
Well, that's the 15th penalty against Washington State. Short drop, look in pass, and it's Bobo at the 30-yard line, caught by the ankles and stopped. And it was Lambert who got a hand on him to bring him down.
Looked like they didn't cover him. He was the uncovered receiver. Philip Bobo's a converted running back. Best runner after he catches the football on this team.
Well, new single game record, 422 yards. And for Bobo, that's 6 catches for him, 198 yards, and he has 2 touchdowns back in the first half. Right fair, hit by Berger. Slammed back at the 35-yard line. And Washington State is now a couple of the players still grabbing onto each other. I think Washington State would like to see a lot more of this. Just move the chains, keep it on the ground, and eat some clock up.
Dead ball, personal foul, defense.
May have been called on Blaine Berger, number 93. Well, let's see what the... Well, see, it's always the second guy, Ron. See the punch first by Sean Bay right fair to the face mask, and then they caught Berger second. Ron McBride's explaining to him a 15-yard penalty hurts.
The kid is saying, he shoved me in the face, and the coach is saying, yeah, but you're being selfish because you cost your team. Now the field position goes to Washington State. It's like play call. Right there, big opening. Has 5, has 10, and counted off at 12 as he will spin inside the 40-yard line. Reggie Alston holding on for dear life.
Sean Bay right fair, the running back. We talked about that his real gift is the fact that he makes people miss. Just gets the trap play, and now just avoids the tackle by number 47, Dave Chaters, and then just works up the field, just continually spins and gains yardage.
Mike, you see him trying to strip it from him, and he's got both hands on it, making sure that he secures it. 90 yards for Sean Bay right fair. Tied at 28 are scored. You see the blitz from Utah and spinning out. Going to go on top. Davis just overthrown.
Boy, he had him out there. C.J. Davis open again, Ron.
Tobin with a good job of blocking on the play. You know, the way Bledsoe reacted at first, I think he was waiting possibly for a whistle and a flag, and that he, at least for a flag, and he might get a free play. But everybody stayed on sides. That's right.
You know, Sean Bay right fair has made some big plays in this quarter, in this drive, and in this one-back set, he really is set to go to the NFL as a one-back type player because he's perfect for the one-back. Catches the ball, blocks, and really makes people miss running the football.
Gives it to him again. Tries to bounce it outside. He's to the 34. Christensen stops him, and now big third down play coming up here. If they don't pick up the first down, this is a big decision that Mike Price would have to make because they're kicking into that breeze that we've been talking about.
Mike Price is a fine football coach. Coached at Weber State, and I think he's got this program on a real nice path in the Pac-10 and nationally.
Third down, and they need the 28-yard line. Zips it, has it complete at the 29-yard line. That's not going to be enough for the first down. Scheckschneider made the catch, and unless they've spotted it down short of the first down marker, so it's going to be fourth.
Ron, Derek Oldham broke on the football. Should have had an interception, but the strength, he couldn't play the arm strength of Drew Bledsoe. Now it's fourth and short. Every short yardage play, they run a quarterback sneak with the 6'5" quarterbacks, just like Tim Bird, just fall over and pick up the first down. Do you quarterback sneak again? They haven't stopped it. I go with the quarterback sneak.
Yep, they do it again. They pick up the first down again. Garmin is the man that he ran behind that time.
When your quarterback sneaking, the thing you need out of your offensive line is just get low and pad under pad. You see how they got pads under pads, and Drew Bledsoe's already passed for a couple-yard gain.
And if you're a Washington State fan, the most important thing about this drive right here is they're using some time off the clock and driving it in the right direction.
Well, you're right, Ron. 9:23, they're going to spend the timeout, but 9:21 left.
So it's 28-28, and we'll be right back to Tucson after this. Arizona, Ron Franklin, Mike Gottfried, and Adrian Karsten. Glad to have you along tonight. Washington State went on top of this ball game 21-0 back in the first half. And Utah continued to fight back, cut it to a 7-point game. 28-20, actually 28-20. It was an 8-point game, scored, went for 2, converted. That's how we stand at 28 apiece. First down, a quick pass to Bobo. Tries to turn the corner, and he does. Out of bounds at the 20. Swanson forced him out.
Ron, that's that uncovered receiver rule. When you have 3 receivers out there and there's no one head up on Philip Bobo, Drew Bledsoe just picks the ball on the snap and just throws out to him. You see Philip Bobo, 7 receptions for 205 yards and 2 touchdowns. Inside the 20, Drew Bledsoe likes to get the ball to C.J. Davis and Sean Bay Wright Fair. So let's keep our eye on both those players down here inside the 20-yard line.
Second down. The first down to push him out of bounds. Now here comes a late flag in as he goes out at the 13. Alston forced him out.
Penalties, Ron, you made a point of it earlier. It just killed Washington State tonight. Washington State's really had a tough time with these penalties.
Mike's just got to be really disappointed in the fact that, you know, it's just that much ground that you've already conquered that you have to take again. This is the 16th penalty against Washington State. Mike, the one thing that's going to help him here is from the spot of the foul, and the spot of the foul was actually beyond the first down mark. So the penalty will only push it back to the 24-yard line. But still, it's a first down that you had that you're not going to get right now. This is the 9th play of the drive.
Now C.J. Davis, Ron.
Movement on the line of scrimmage.
Dead ball. Encroachment. Offense.
No, that's the 17th one, Ron. Officials have had a layoff since November 21st, too.
And Mike Price has got to be saying enough already. 9:06 left to play in the ball game. Washington State 28 and Utah 28. set the screen to the tight end, Carolyn, and that is a fine defensive play to stop him short of the 25-yard line by Peter Tonga.
Peter Tonga read the screen right off of the bat. It was a screen to the tight end, Brett Carolyn, number 89, and Peter Tonga has played the screen perfect tonight.
Mike, right here, even if they don't pick up the first down, they've got to pick up at least 5 yards, because with the wind blowing, you're still going to be talking about a field goal of 40 or maybe 40 plus, which is a pretty good boot right now.
You're right. The one play that Utah has not stopped is the hitch route to the outside.
Blitz coming up the middle again. They deliver the pass, and right there tries to break the tackle, loses the ball, and has to backtrack to make the recovery. Utah says they recovered, but they did not. But this field goal attempt, if they go for it, is going to be a 42 yards into the wind.
Little hitch pass to Sean Bay right fair.
Leary wrapped him up, Mike.
Yeah, number 32. They just ran the 5-yard hitch. Utah's had trouble with it all night.
So Aaron Price, and they're going to spot this one down just beyond the 32-yard line from the right hash mark. Longest one for Price, 52 yards. Down, he's got the distance, and it is no good. Off to the right.
Ron, you made a point of the wind and the fact that they didn't pick up the yardage that they needed to set up the field goal. Of course, it was on the right hash also.
So there's a break in the action. 7:42 left to play. We're still tied. We'll be right here in Price on the sideline, who just missed the field goal attempt. And watch what happens, Mike. Just enough of slippage that did this cause him to yank it a bit. See that plant foot slides just a tad. Running play hit in the backfield, and Williams can't go anywhere. Keith is going to be knocked down for a loss. Saldivar there first.
The motivation in this game is in the favor of Utah, because when you look at the WAC and the PAC, I'm sure the WAC players don't feel they get the recognition that the PAC teams get. And tonight we have Fresno State playing Southern Cal, and so it's a chance for Utah. They came into the game as an underdog, but they're wearing the banner of the WAC conference tonight. They want the upset win over the Pac-10.
Right now it's tied, and we're about to go under 7 minutes to play. Dumps it over the middle. Keith Williams out around the 30, and now Utah, if they're going to hold on to it, they got to pick up about 5 yards. McClanahan there defensively.
Well, we've seen all night the fact that the middle linebacker, Anthony McClanahan, has the remaining one back. His father was Brent McClanahan. And it is Brent McClanahan, the former Minnesota Viking running back.
We got over 1,000 yards in total offense now. I think they got to get Lusk involved in the play again. I haven't heard from him in a while. Blitz coming up the middle. They got everybody coming in. Who did they go to? Lusk, and he dropped the football. Well, they're going to say it was complete, fumbled, and recovered by Washington State. Cougars have the ball inside the 20. Mobley.
We're going to have to see that again to see whether he really had the football.
Right here. Football right here.
Frank Dosey is, when he's blitzed, has to dump the football. Throws it to Henry Lusk. Now, did he have control of it?
He did. That's a
ball
good
was stripped by John Rushing, number 10. And then Senghor Mobley, number 8, picks the football up, and he drops it out of bounds. Big turnover. Big turnover for Washington State.
Bang, bang play, and the officials making the right call. Very good one. First Utah turnover. Is that right? Come on. Yep. On the night. Washington State from just outside the 21. Bledsoe looking, got it complete. First and goal inside the 10-yard line. That's Scheck-Snyder.
The most impressive thing about Drew Bledsoe tonight has been the arm strength, the way he can throw the football. I mean, he throws the post, he throws the out, he throws the hitch, he throws the short passes with touch. He just got so much strength in his arm, and when they say he matches Troy Aikman or John Elway in arm strength, he's just very impressive as a quarterback.
motion, right fair in the running play. Bounces outside. Cannot get by the first tackler, and then help is there. They'll keep the clock running at the 5 as Derek Odom makes the defensive play. Clock runs with 5:45 to play in the ball game.
Well, that's a big tackle, Ron, because when you get Sean Bay right fair in the open, Derek Odom has to make that tackle or it's a touchdown, and he was able to bring him down one-on-one. 5:32 left on the clock, Ron, here in the fourth quarter.
28-28. Davis has it knocked away. Derek Odom with the cover.
That's 2 plays in a row by Derek Odom, number 18, because that ball was thrown as well as you can throw the fade. What Derek Odom did is he punched the ball out of C.J. Davis's hands. Exactly what you teach a defensive back. Watch number 18 with his right hand, punch the ball out, and he's able to strip him from the football. Look at that right hand, punch the football. Good play by Derek Odom.
Third down. Blitz coming up the middle. They pick it up well. Pass incomplete. Wants Davis again. And now fourth down.
Now, Ron, you mentioned a good point now. It's got to be in the mind of the kickers. You know, they've had problem with the plant foot. Now, Mike Price's kicker's his son, Aaron, so he probably put his shoulder arm around him and said, son, let's go out there and kick this field goal now. So Dad, and you and Mom and all the family can go home and have a happy evening here.
Well, his dad just threw his cap on the sideline. He's got a 22-yard attempt, and this is a pretty tough angle right here. And he's got it. Aaron Price has the Washington State Cougars on top of the 5:08 mark, and will hold it right here, 31-28.
I think you'll give him the car for the next week. Hitting that field goal.
If you've just joined us or joined us late for the Weiser-Lock Copper Bowl here in Tucson, Washington State jumped out in this ball game by a count of 21-0. And Bledsoe in the first half had 300 yards passing. Just quite a performance. And then the Utes have just continued to fight their way back and tied it at 28. Now Washington State goes on top. And let's go down to Adrian Karsten.
Ron, I'm with the man who, well, is kind of helping his son make the decision. I think, Mac Bledsoe, that your son has really proved tonight, particularly with his arm strength, that he is an NFL first-round pick. With the NFL salary cap at $2 million, now that has got to be a factor in his decision. He's not going to get those immediate gains he would otherwise.
Actually, if you knew Drew, you'd really know that it really is not a really big factor in the decision. What he's trying to do is decide whether he wants to play college football or whether he wants to play professional football. And on the one side, that he plays college football, this is a known. This is a given. He's playing for a great coach that he loves and he loves playing for.
Over 300 yards in the first half alone. Because the NCAA would not allow him to have a representative at this point and break rules, have you kind of taken over that role for your son?
Actually, what I've been trying to do is to gather information so when he makes his decision, he's got the information to use to make an intelligent decision.
Mac, thank you very much. Let's go back upstairs to Ron.
Yeah.
Okay, Adrian. Well, the night of the 5th, maybe he'll make it before. The night of the 5th will be a night of decision because on the 6th, got to make up his mind. Ball is fumbled, still on the ground, and Utah finally recovers. It was Williams and Jones both clamoring for it at the 21. Well, we've talked a lot about Bledsoe tonight, but this young fella right here has shown us just a ton of heart as well, hasn't he?
Got a lot of heart, I'll tell you what. He's carried the banner for Utah tonight. He's had an excellent game at quarterback for the Utah team, and 19 of 33, 245 yards and 2 touchdowns. And great decisions all evening.
Williams banged hard at the line of scrimmage and spun off that one tackler. He'll pick up 3. Rushing finally stopped him.
Well, this is a typical game for Utah on the WAC. A lot of points, close finish. They're used to it. Of course, Ron McBride, the head coach, has turned this program around. They're going to maximum protection here, Ron. Bringing the 2 backs in to give him a little more time to throw.
He's going to go on top. Incomplete. You see Hooks turning around to the official, wanting to see if he can get some help, but Hunter just had him covered well. There was not much that could be done right there. Mike, you know, one of the things that's really surprising to me tonight, as many pass plays and plays coming in from the bench, substitutions and everything, we haven't had one delay of game penalty, have we?
No, we haven't. Both these
surprising.
Both these teams throw the ball so well, and they're used to throwing it so well and substituting and getting their signals in that very well coached football teams, both of them.
Jones is coming to backfield, replacing Williams. Dulce still going. They're going to go on top again. Looking, and it is caught by Williams. Sean Williams, 15 at the 10. It is first and goal, Utah.
Well, Ron, the doctor-to-be, Frank Dulce, just performed surgery on Washington State's defense. He was smart. He bought some time to wait for his receiver, Sean Williams, to get open. There you see Senghor Mobley, number 8, who just let him get behind him. But Frank Dulce makes this play. Watch him duck under the sack, first of all. There's the little duck, avoids the sack. Now he breaks to the right side. Now he's getting ready to perform surgery. Throws the deep ball to Sean Williams, who adjusts. Now watch the cutback here by Sean Williams. A good move. Washington State runs him down at the 5.
Boy, look at the speed in that secondary coming from behind. Rushing got him. Mobley just got turned around. That's a 70-yard play.
Ron, he's so calm and cool. If I ever need an operation, I'm going to see him. Of course, he'll probably be an animal doctor or something.
We may send you, Mike. Situation, 4 minutes exactly left in the ballgame. 31-28, Washington State. And now for Williams, he has 6 catches, 127 yards, and 1 touchdown.
Well, you got to be impressed with this Utah team, and they just keep fighting back all evening.
Washington State dominated early, and I mean dominated. They just, whatever they wanted to do, they pulled the trigger in that direction, and it worked. Utah kept fighting their way back. And right now, they have a first and goal just outside the 5. Completes the pass, and that's a fine open field tackle as Williams just could not get away. Burns came out. Mike, they got the man-on-man coverage that they wanted, and boy, he was there to make the stop. Washington State with the players shaken up.
I think Mark Studley, who's the president of the Weiser Lock Company, is happy with this bowl game tonight. I mean, Washington State 31-28 with 3:43. What else can you ask for? Very proud bowl game here in Tucson, Ron.
Yeah, these people, as you look, Coach McBride's going to... Coach Price comes across the field as Coach McBride calls his offensive unit back over to the sideline, and you look at Coach Price making the long walk across the field to see about the injury. You can see the receiver after the play squatting on the field, and these kids are tired. I mean, they have given it their all. And it looks like Torrey Hunter, who was shaken up.
When you win a bowl game, it's great motivation. You go into the winter program and spring practice, and you're so optimistic. If you lose a bowl game, it's another challenge that the coach can use to get you ready in the winter program and then spring practice. So it's a springboard either way, but you'd rather win it.
Let me ask you something. Hunter has been the guy who has been their big play guy defensively. Do you go back to that area?
I go back right back for the substitute who replaced us, Torrey Hunter.
Okay, let's see. Geathers is the man who draws the ball. He's normally the nickelback.
They may run this ball.
Yep.
They do. Straight up the middle. 2 yards, 3, and it'll be stopped at the 2-yard line. It'll be 3rd down. Jones, the ball carrier, at Hall wrapped him up.
They're getting such a surge on running the football, Ron. I think I'd run it one more time here because what they're doing a good job of, they're going to take a timeout and talk it all over, but they're spreading out the Washington State defense. That makes the running game effective.
So we'll take the timeout with them. Washington State 31-28. We'll be right back.
Domino's presents something fun.
A good look from up above of Arizona Stadium. It's the Weiserlock Copper Bowl for 1992. McBride pacing, scratching his head. I don't know. You know, we're going to run the ball or we're going to throw the ball. I think they're going to run it. Mike, you do too, don't you?
I do too. I think they're going to pound the football at them. See who the running back is in the ball game.
Pierre Jones is the running back, and he's the one who scored on a running play from inside the 5 the last time.
They just brought him out, though. He's out of the ball game. I'll tell you what they're going to do, Ron. They're going to shift again and roll to the right. Try to get them confused in man coverage, and they got Washington State to use a timeout. Good play call by Ron McBride. That was the 2-point play formation where they show you a T, and then all of a sudden they shift all over the place and with man coverage. That's what happened to them on the last 2-point play. They got lost. So as soon as Washington State viewed that, Mike Zimmer said, let's call a timeout. Now let's talk this over.
So Washington State has 1 timeout left. They're on top by 3. The clock shows 3:24 to play.
Now that was going to be a pass play, Ron. By watching
practice. Would it go to the tight end again, do you think?
Could have been the tight end or roll to the right. Now I still think they may come back now that they made Washington State a little uneasy and use a timeout. Still come back and pound the ball. But I'm like you. I think Pierre Jones has to be in that ball game, and I don't think he was in on that last play. Doesn't look like he's coming in again. See what Mike Zimmer's doing over here, the defensive coordinator. He's drawing up that formation after the shift. That's what they're doing over there. He's saying, okay, now when they shift, here's the man you got. You got him. It's the I got defense. I got him. You got him. The whole thing.
What about this one? 21 unanswered points in the opening quarter. We're wondering up here. Then 14 and 7 points. It was 28-14 at halftime. Then 14 unanswered by the Utes in the 3rd. And a field goal by Washington State here in the 4th quarter. And that's how we stand at 31-28. Here they come.
They're going to shift out on them now. Watch the shift.
Dolce, he just throws this one away. Nothing he could do, and that was Bush again with the pressure.
Ron, credit Mike Zimmer, the defensive coordinator, standing beside Mike Price, took the timeout, took him over on the sidelines, drew up the shift, and they were ready for it. There was no place for Frank Dolce to go with the ball.
Scott Murray, the tight end who caught the 2-point conversion, was standing out there saying, I was open, but of course his quarterback couldn't look back at that time to throw back to him.
No, he was running for his life so he can be a doctor.
Jorgensen will attempt the field goal, and this one will be from 20 yards out, trying to tie it with 3:19 to play. Good pass. He missed it. He just yanked it. Wide left, no good, and Washington State will get the football back, and they lead it 31-28. Whoa, a missed extra point earlier, and now a missed chippy. That is a bad angle, I know.
Still time with 3:16 on the clock. Utah still has 2 timeouts. Here's the replay. He didn't slip at all. He just yanked it to the left.
He just yanked it. Now Hunter had some good pressure, but still he got in a hurry on that one.
Now Washington State, they want to get the ball in Chambé Wright Fair's hands and just run some clock.
They're going to do what they do best, and that's throw the football. Pointer has the reception out at the 35-yard line.
It's a good catch and a good play by Mark Swanson, number 5, the free safety. Good hit on Pointer after he made the catch.
It'll be 1st and 10 for Washington.
See the clock stop, moving to change. Now it kicks back into movement.
Clock is running with 2 minutes and 54, now 2:53. Washington State. Now we'll go to the running play. Right there, we'll take it the 5 to the 40. Chaters comes up to make the hit. Boy, the air just went out of this side of the stadium. They had an opportunity to tie this football game at 31.
Well, they still got time. They just need to make a stop here and then use their timeouts. They still have 2 timeouts.
Well, I know what you mean, but they just had a 3-foot putt and missed it.
Yeah, I don't know much about golf, but I know one thing. They need a stop here.
Right there again, and he will have the first down as he legs it across the 45 to the 47-yard line. Luther Ellis defensively.
Well, they should keep the ball in his hands now. Sean Bay right fair. They threw on first down to Darren Pointer, which was a good call by Mike Price. Now he'd just like to keep that clock moving and not let Ron McBride get in a situation where he can stop the clock, use his timeouts, force a stop, and then a punt.
Washington State in total offense tonight, 623 yards. It's amazing that you're only up by 3. Right there again, but that goes back to what you talked about with the WAC and the kind of games they're accustomed to playing. And they play the big yardage, high-scoring games. Never out of it.
Football fan in the WAC, you have to have a big heart.
So there's a timeout on the field called by Utah. We'll take it with them. 1:31 left to play. In Tucson, 31-28. Washington State leads with 1:31 left to play. Dulce at the sideline.
Tucson people have done a nice job here, Ron, and they'd like to see this bowl game grow like the Fiesta Bowl. John Junker does such a great job with Fiesta Bowl. They'd like to have this bowl turn into another one like that.
Good folks, really good community, and they work hard to try to make it work. Here comes the blitz. Right fair will take it across the 50.
Now this is their last time out, Ron, so now that this is down to the 3rd down to pick up the 1st down for Washington State.
Well, tonight's Weiserlock player of the game, Drew Bledsoe of Washington State, 29 of 45, 472 yards and 2 touchdowns. And our congratulations to him. And you know, Mike, Bobo is going to finish this ball game with over 200 yards receiving, 205 on 7 catches and 2 touchdowns. And in the future, somebody's going to be the MVP of this ball game and catch, you know, less yardage and maybe touchdowns, but they'll be the MVP. But it's just that Bledsoe has been so totally outstanding.
Good point, Ron. Big question now for Washington State. A couple questions. Drew Bledsoe, is he going to be in a Washington State uniform next year or a Seattle Seahawks uniform? And number 2, Jim Livengood, the great athletic director out of Washington State, needs to get Mike Price under contract for a long-term contract.
Well, coming up next is Sports Center. I'll bring you up to date on what's been going on in the world of sports, basketball, also hockey action. Previews of upcoming bowl games here on ESPN. Pass is caught and complete, and that's going to will be enough, I don't believe, Mike, at the 44-yard line. Scheck-Snyder with the grab.
They've got a 4th down in probably about 1.5 yards, it looks like. They'll just leave the clock run now and then make a decision whether to take a timeout, then punt the football, and they're going to run it down as far as they can, then take a timeout and talk it over, I believe. running the 25-second clock down. Drew Bledsoe's coming over the sideline, and
4 seconds down to 3, and then 2, as you can see, on the 25-second clock. Game clock with 35 ticks left.
Remember our Nevada game where they got in this punting situation, and Bowling Green caused a turnover and got the football back and won that football game.
Sure did. And the special teams have had a couple of problems tonight, so it's what you're saying, the point's well taken. It's not over yet. Johnston waits for the snap back at the 36-yard line.
Chris Alt's probably at home tonight watching this game saying, I know it's not over till the last play.
Well, they're coming after him. Bobbled for a moment by Williams, and he'll run for the sideline and come out of bounds at the 14. So here's the situation. 27 seconds left on the clock. Washington State 31-28.
27 seconds for Frank Dulce and no timeouts.
No timeouts left for Utah. Washington State has one, but they don't want to have to use it. Dulce has it complete to Welch. They're going to say he got knocked out of bounds. He caught the ball inbounds and then got knocked out, and they say didn't catch it, so it's an incompletion.
Incomplete. It'll be 2nd and 10.
Ron McBride's going to walk down and have a few words with the official, maybe. Now he's thinking about the play call.
Say he didn't catch this one. Williams, the man that the pass was intended for, and the officials ruled he caught it out of bounds. So now 16 seconds left, and it will be 3rd down.
Well, the coaches aren't arguing, Ron, so I'm sure he's probably out of bounds, because usually if the coach is on the sideline, he's got a great view there on the sideline. Ron McBride's not arguing. So I'm sure it's 2 good calls by the official.
Welch trapped that one.
I think I tried the other side of the field with that official over there. This guy's got that motion with his arms. He's automatic. There's nothing no good.
Still 13 seconds left. Frank Dulce walking back to the huddle. Right now.
Got all 3 receivers to the top of the screen, and he got 2 receivers here. He has to go deep with this ball with 13 seconds. Just got to throw it up deep.
Will be sacked back at the 6-yard line. Chris Frank got the sack, and for Washington State, they got 8 seconds to get off the clock. And now the question comes up. Is this the final time that the Washington State faithful will see Drew Bledsoe wear the number 11 on the field, wearing their colors?
I said earlier I'd like to see him stay, but I think you're seeing him in his final game here at Washington State.
Dulce's numbers on the night, 21 of 40, 316 yards and 2 touchdowns.
I think his final play is going to be a quarterback's just go on his knee here, the final play at Washington State.
Update is brought to you by Duracell batteries. You can't top the copper top.
Welcome back to the show. And just before Sports Center, the third of the 18-game bowl season, the Weiser-Lock Copper Bowl, which was better known as the Bledsoe Bowl. Washington State's heralded hurler Drew Bledsoe was probably playing his final collegiate game against Utah's own potent passer, Frank Dulce. The Washington State came out with a flurry. A scoreless first quarter didn't stay that way long. They were moving already past midfield. Bledsoe with a play fake goes to Philip Bobo, and oh no for the Utes. 36 yards later, he sets up a Chambé right fair touchdown, 7-0 Cougs. On their second series, Bledsoe calling the audible at the line. He's got a long way to go. He's coming from his own 12, but he's got a man, and down the sideline, Bobo is gone. Somehow stayed in bounds, avoids the dive, and then goes 88 yards in all, and then prances his way into a score. I'm not sure what that meant, but it meant 14-0 Cougars on the board. It was 21-0 in the second quarter when Dulce went to work. A tremendous over-the-shoulder hookup with Greg Hooks for 39 yards. Then the turn in by Sean Williams. He goes 10 yards into the end zone. It's 21-7 Washington State, but Dulce wasn't through. The snap went to Keith Williams on the deception. And on the up snap, he goes 25 yards in, and suddenly it's a one-touchdown game. 21-14, 38 seconds left in the half. And Bledsoe goes to work again with Bobo. This time he cuts right up the gut for 47 yards. 28-14 at the half. Washington State back in control and jumping for joy. In the third quarter, same score. And now Dulce again avoids the rush, goes deep to Henry Lusk. He avoids the interference and goes into the end zone from 50 yards out, 28-21. Pierre Jones made it 28-26. They go for the tie. The two-point conversion after the 8-yard run. He finds Scott Murray, and Dulce has tied it at 28-all. We have got a barn burner late in the fourth quarter. Then the Washington State field goal. Aaron Price to give him back the lead. The son of the coach, Mike Price. And Mike Price not happy with his offspring. So it's still 28-all. And now the Utes are rallying across midfield, but Lusk fumbles, and Senior Mobley recovers. He fumbles out of bounds. They've still got the ball. Price gets a chance for redemption, and he does it from 22 yards out. Cougars up 31-28. Dulce, though, looking to get his team back in the game. He scrambles, avoids the rush. He's running to the right, looking deep for Sean Williams. 70 yards later, they are in field goal range. He's inside the 10. Chris Jurgensen to tie from 22 yards out. But he nubs it. And Washington State holds on 31-20
for the visiting Chargers.